And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another edition here of the 2025 Kung Fu Cup November Finals. I'm, of course, your host, VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in chats, and by my plushies as well. Welcome, one and all. Buenos dias, bye. Buenos dias. To the second day here of Kung Fu Cup. Yesterday, of course, we were live with the first day. We were able to feature players like Reynor, players like Hero, able to feature the initial round of the tournament, and now we're here to continue the event and jump into day number 2. Let us switch things over and catch up on the bracket itself. Let's catch up on the bracket and figure out where we are and where we are headed. Okay, so from the top here, for those that are curious, this is an 8-player invitational. 8 players have been invited here. Kung Fu Cup at one point was a weekly tournament, at another point was a seasonal event. Like Kung Fu Cup has had its own iterations. Of course, was recently announced to return, especially thanks to the Chinese server returning to just coming back online. This is a part of the celebration of said Chinese server returning, and now we have these monthly events, and this is the, of course, November monthly for Kung Fu Cup. From the top, we did have a Classic took down Solar 2-1 to advance on to the upper bracket semis. We have a Hero, he did fall to Cure took down Hero 2-1 as well. We had a lot of ace matches, yesterday. So we have Classic versus Cure. That's going to be later on tonight, by the way. That'll be later on tonight. We do have Reynor. Reynor took down Gimme Ho 2-0. We saw a lot of mech. There from Gimme Ho. Reynor did shut him down. And we have Showtime versus Mana. That is going to be our first series of the broadcast. We're going to be jumping into that PvP. And very quickly, on the bottom half of the bracket, we had a Solar versus Hero. Hero barely did win that series 3-2 to advance on to the lower bracket second round. Here we go. So again, as a reminder, every single series is going to be casted, and the lower bracket matches are best of 5s. That's why Solar and Hero was a best of 5, and that's why the initial round of the bracket were best of 3s. So we have 3 series here before you tonight. We have Showtime versus Mana into Reynor, and then we'll be going over towards Classic versus Cure. So 3 series, 1 best of 3 and 2 best of 5s. As we're jumping into our first series, we're jumping into our PvP, Showtime and Mana. Let's go. Game 1 is going to be on Winter Madness. Jump into game 1. And again, it's been an intense week of StarCraft already here. Throughout the course of the weekend, we will be jumping into more and more of the Kung Fu Cup. Later on tonight, we have more Kung Fu Cup as well, bear that in mind. And we have, of course, the Tuna Cup tomorrow. So we're jumping on into our series and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Winter Madness. We have the Polish Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Team Liquid. It is Mana. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the blue Protoss player. The blue Protoss, the German Protoss representing Sentinels. It is Showtime. Here we go. Meanwhile, a big shout out to Soundo in the chat. Baby God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for subscribing to Triumph for 60 months. That's a lot of months, baby. That's a lot of months. Thank you so much. And also, baby, share my. Thank you so much. Angry in the chat for the raid of 32. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Hope you had a great time. Welcome, one and all. Hey, just in time to actually feature a Polish player as well, as we are jumping into our initial round, our initial PvP. Oh boy. Now, I'll be honest, despite how popular PvP is when it comes to the online tournaments and online brackets, I actually haven't covered too much of it outside of like Max Packs, Hero, Classic, face off against each other. Guess what I'm getting at in the latest patch, I actually haven't seen much of Showtime. So I'm curious to see how Showtime, if it all, has adjusted. We'll see how we compare to each other here. Showtime does veer off towards the right-hand side to hide what looks to be a fake proxy pylon. Bearing in mind, welcome to Winter Madness. Winter Madness is a very large map in the map pool, very large map, long rush distance by ground, and plenty of bases, plenty of areas to hide some pylons. And there it is, pylon gets thrown down, and as we mentioned, it is a fake. It is a fake out. The goal here is that Mana scouts with his probe, Mana sees that a pylon is missing, and then Mana overreacts. That's at least the hope. But as we can see, Mana is staying at home. He does have a probe in the mineral line. He is looking up for the pylon, looking for the setup, and we can see that it's a fake out. We can see that Showtime is not committing. As Mana, he's aware that a pylon is nowhere to be found. Showtime does have a reputation. You can see Mana checking behind the mineral line as well. But Showtime does have a reputation in the other matchups for being more of a defensive macro player. But I emphasize that that is specifically for the other matchups, because in PvP, Showtime does cheese. He does cheese, he does proxy, he does all in. Showtime, he does not hold back. So Mana does not flinch though. He does not flinch. He does go for his own Nexus. He doesn't go for a robo beforehand. He does not play overly safe. Mana believes that Showtime is faking him out. So good call out of Mana. You can see that Mana is still scouting just in case. Is still scouting, checking the northern expansion locations. But again, as I mentioned before, Winter Madness is a massive map. There are just so many places to check. There's a very high chance that Mana does not find the pylon. Yeah, he checks the nearby third and fourth locations, checks a little bit further out to the corner, and then pulls away. And we can see Showtime does go for his delayed expansion. We do see a robo follow-up at a Mana. So Mana, he doesn't open robo, he goes expansion into a robo. You can see that he's a little bit scared of, say, proxy Stargate into Oracle into the main base. So he's a little bit paranoid. And with a robo opener, it's still going to be a relatively safe play here by Mana. Does mean that he's going to be relinquishing map control. It does mean that he's going to be stuck at home. He has access to earlier immortal production, and he has access to a war prism to harass in some way, shape, or form. So we'll need that prism to try to harass, to get some damage done. Likewise, we have our hallucinations across the map. Mana does scout the main. Mana does confirm the Twilight Council is aware. Aware, and yep, there's that prison first. And again, this is a way just to apply some pressure. Ideally, it's to ferry these adepts into the main base. Remember, 2 adepts that can one-shot probes, so a handful of adepts can actually be quite impactful in PvP. I mean, in every matchup. So that's one thing we get caught out. Yeah, a bit of miscontrol there from Mana. He did check with his face, went for the face check, lost one adept, and now he can no longer one-shot. He has to warp in, and oh my god, he's committing actually. Jesus. He's rallying an immortal. He's moving out with everything. I assumed was just going to be harassed, but no, he moves out with his sentries, his stalkers. He's got a lot of force fields. And we do see Showtime expanding. Yeah, while Showtime expands, Mana is moving in, shows his force fields. Yeah, zones away a couple of units, locks down a sentry, locks down a stalker, very nice. Picks off a couple of key units. From here, getting into the middle line, locks down some probes as well. And Showtime, he's in trouble, he's in danger here, losing another sentry. You can see the micro potential, defensive blink essentially here for Mana. Ooh, for Mana, he's going to lose a couple of sentries. 1, 2, 3 sentries going down. His prism is a little bit too far back. So Mana bleeding out a lot of units here, but overall he can still overwhelm. He still has a massive army. I'll pick up. I'll pick up. Ooh, does lose one. Does lose one of the stalkers there. But he has high ground vision. Oof. Blink is complete now for Showtime. He has Blink, but GG gets called. The natural is broken. Showtime too greedy, and Mana takes game number 1. Ooh, GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Mana does take lead in the series, wanting it back. Remember, Showtime, he did try to fake a proxy pylon across the map, trying to force an overreaction. Showtime behind this, he had scouted, he was just going for his third base, building up into a longer game. Meanwhile, Mana, he was not stopping warp-ins, and with his warp prism, he committed with everything across the map. Showtime missed the scout. I should say he missed the move out. He missed the move out, he missed the army. He did see the production. There was nothing really fancy when it came to the production, just 2 gateways and a robo. But Showtime, he was unaware of the push. His pants were down. GG. GG, well played. Mana does shut him down here, does punish Showtime for being overly greedy. And now we're getting into game 2, and Mana is 1 game away from knocking Showtime down to the lower bracket. Una más, papi, una más. Let's go. Also, Esther missed in the chat. I appreciate the ducks. They're very cute. But here we go. This morning in the top left-hand corner of Title Citadel, we have the Polish Protoss player. We have the red Protoss leading the series 1-0, representing Team Liquid. It is Mana. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the German Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing Sentinels. It is a showtime. Here we go. We have our PvP. And welcome to Title Citadel. Title Citadel is a very large map in the map pool. It has more spread out expansions. I should add that as well. It has more spread out third and fourth base locations. Has area in between that can also abuse the more spread out expansion locations as well. So a more aggressive army can take advantage of someone just trying to be more defensive. We'll see how our players will adjust their approach. Meanwhile, a big shout out to Juggernaut Jason in the chat. God, thanks so much. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session as well. Whether laddering Zerg or Terran, hope you had a great time. Hope you had a great time. Esther Juggernaut Jason. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. For those who are just now tuning in, we are covering KungFu Cup. This is the KungFu Cup November finals. This is an 8-player invitational 5-day event, and we are casting day 2. We're casting day 2. This is our first series. We have our PvP. Later on in the broadcast, we're going to be featuring Cure. So if you're a Terran fan, we're going to be featuring Cure a little bit later on, and Reynor as Zerg a little bit later on as well. Meanwhile, Showtime once again does go for the proxy pylon. As a reminder, last game it was a fake proxy pylon without any commitment. Based on this location, we could go for a Stargate. We could go Stargate into Oracle. Otherwise, we could commit into something more sinister here and something more dedicated. Show us what you got. Isn't too far away for a proxy robo. Waiting for the Cybercore. Cybercore is finishing up. Boom. And proxy robo. One base all in at a Showtime. We spoke about this at the beginning of the broadcast, at the beginning of the series, but Showtime, he does cheese, he does all in. He has a reputation of being a very defensive macro player in other matchups, but specifically in PvP, Showtime, he's an animal. He is an animal, does proxy, does mix things up, and we'll see if Mana can get a read on what's going on. Now, Mana did scout with his probe. Mana did see that a pylon was missing, but remember, last game was a fake out. He might just believe it's a fake out again. Mana does open up with the Stargate. Do have a wall off here on top of the ramp. Now with the Stargate opener, Mana, he will have some tools to defend. It's not ideal, but he can make a Phoenix, of course. Can make Void Rays. His Stalkers fan out, checking the third base locations. Oh, and barely does he keep going. Oh, he does. He does keep going. He does confirm. He gets eyes on the robo. He is fully aware. Instantly, a Phoenix is in production. No Norcal. The Phoenix is designed to shut down the War Prism, to hunt down the War Prism, to focus it down, and also to lift Immortals. So the Phoenix has a lot of utility. And again, thankfully, Mana is fully aware of what's happening. Mana is fully aware. Now what's scary is that Showtime doesn't necessarily know that Mana knows. The vision of the pylon is less than that of the vision of the Stalker. Here we go, Mana does move out. He will miss the Prism though. Yeah, it does miss the War Prism. Just barely. He will depower the robo. At the same time, Showtime diving straight into the main. He's going for it. He's going for the kill. Diving into the main base. Yeah, Mana forced to recall. He's out of position, but he recalls in time. Phoenix as they hunt down the... Oh my god. The Prism's gonna be hunted down. The Unison will shoot up, by the way. There's one Stalker. Yeah, sorry, two Stalkers. The Prism goes down. Ay. Massive loss here for Showtime. The Robo's depowered. The War Prism goes down. His army's stuck on the ground here, and Mana just has to chill. Even getting a proxy pylon. Proxy pylon to reinforce across the map, but Mana, he's just building up back at home and bringing together his Phoenixes. Phoenixes actually move out ahead of time. Now, Showtime's ground army is still formidable, true, and Showtime he expands. Mana confirms. Mana confirms that there's an expansion. This should prompt Mana to move out. But now he's killing the robo. Picks off a couple of probes. Mana so far is looking very comfortable. Forcing a recall, still kills the Adept, so wasted recall there for Showtime. And Showtime does have the slightly faster expansion, but Mana has the higher probe count, and on top of that, Mana has the larger army as well. He has a lot of potential here with his Phoenixes. He can lift and pick off the Stalkers, for example, or even just go for the mineral line, waiting for more Warpins. Warpins are finishing up. And Showtime is in danger. Stalkers, they do lock down 2 of the Stalkers. Then nicely done. Locks down 2 Stalkers. So Mana does overextend. And Showtime is holding. At this point, Showtime is holding on. That was a massive pickup. Phoenix is ahead for the mineral line, but one Phoenix does barely get away. Taking a lot of damage. From here, the game continues. The game does continue. I still do give the edge to Mana. Mana behind this is going for a Robo, not a Twilight Council, so he's building up into Immortals. It's building up. Now the downside here is that Mana will not have map control. Because he doesn't have Blink of his own, it means he's going to be stuck at home. He's going to be stuck at home, stuck turtling, stuck defending. Showtime, he'll have a lot of micro potential with his Blink and may even turn this into an all-in. But now, oh, he does pull away in time. Once again, just getting 2 more probes. Immortals are amassing. And really, eyes are on Showtime. Checking his vision, Showtime, he is aware. He saw the Robo. He knows there's a Robo follow-up. Showtime should be claiming a faster third base. We should be seeing a faster third base. Showtime should have map control once Blink finishes, so we can get a faster expansion, build up a better economy, and build up a larger gateway composition. Whereas Mana should have a smaller composition with a more high-tech kind of army. With Phoenixes, with Immortals. There we go, now Showtime expands. So far the game is slowing down after an intense start. Very intense start. Showtime is being active and he has to be careful here. He is spotted. Showtime moves out. Meanwhile, Mana, he's actually exposed back at home. Mana checks for a third base. He's got 2 Immortals, that's true, but he doesn't really have much buffer. If Showtime wanted to, he could just dive on the Immortals. He could 3-shot. I think it would be 3-shot. Uh-oh. But last Showtime, he does not go up the ramp, does not check the third base. There was a missed opportunity there. Showtime pulls away. Okay. Does pull away. Now we see that Mana's cutting, I say cutting corners, he's kind of rushing and skipping some tech parts here. He's going straight into +1 in charge, into Archon production, so it's going to be charge or Archon Immortal. Showtime is doing something similar, also going into Archons, +1, charge already done for Showtime as well. So Mana, he's catching up. He's catching up in terms of army, of the quality of the army. Catching up with those upgrades. And as we build up in towards the mid game, I'm going to be favoring Mana's overall composition. They're going to be very similar, except Mana's going to have no Stalkers, but he's going to have extra Immortals instead. Showtime, likewise, will have more Immortals and more Stalkers and no Immortals. Showtime still has more micro potential, and he can still pick away at the army. He can poke in, poke out. But in a head-on fight, it's going to be a heavy Immortal count here for Mana. He's getting his 4th Immortal. His upgrades are done. Charge is complete. And we're just waiting for the War Prison. Once the prison finishes, then Mana can move out. Now, when it comes to the engagement, a lot of it comes down to the fight itself. It comes down to the unit control. You have to be so careful with these Zealots. The Zealots are quite fragile. And if you A-move in, the Zealots will just evaporate. So ideally, you hold position micro, you pull back the Zealots until the Archons are dealt with. These Phoenixes are being thrown away. I mean, this is a really good use of Phoenixes. To be honest, in the main fight, these Phoenixes won't really do much. Remember, Showtime doesn't have any Immortals, and the Archons themselves are going to be great at zoning away the Phoenixes and punching and kind of clumping. 15. Oh my god, 15 probes! 15 probes go down, well worth it for mana. Cripples the economy. Ay, ay, ay. And because Mana's doing so much economic damage, and because he's getting a much faster fourth base, the reality is Mana does not have to push. Like, Mana can just chill and max. Just calm down, look to max out. There's nothing pressuring Mana to be active. Not anymore. He's up to 4, soon to be 5 Immortals. Mana, okay. Does decide to move out here, so be careful. As I mentioned before, you don't want to just throw away your Zealots. Mana's not gonna get spotted. Showtime attempting to flank. The armies, they do pass by each other. Mana pushing up the ramp. A little bit split up though. Yeah, a bit of misarmy control. Yeah, Mana's out of position. Prism goes down and Mana has to pull out. He has to get the hell out of here. Again, Mana only fighting with half his army. Going for the warp in. Stalkers, they blink and they deny the warp in. Yeah, nice blink. The Immortals are too far behind. And they get a messy fight here for Mana. Does lift whatever he can. Prism should be sniped. But there are so many more and more Archons here. Yeah, so many Archons. Showtime, he breaks on through. Again, these 4 Immortals for half the fight weren't doing anything. They just weren't doing anything. Mana was out of position. Zealots rally in. They should be dealt with. And Showtime should come out on top here. He cleans up all the Zealots, gets on top of the Archons. Like, Mana, he had the army. He just wasn't able to fight all at once. Gets a miscontrol. And despite the amazing start that Mana had, it looks like he's going to be losing his force. He's going to lose his 4th base, and may even lose more than that from here. Again, este Mana. Just one bad fight is all it takes. Showtime moving in. Breaks through the Zealot. Shield barriers are not ready. And Mana, he should not be able to hold on here. Should not be able to hold. Archon gets into the mineral line. 15 probes going to be going down. The Prism is going to survive. And there are how many? There's 7 Archons. The mass Archon, Bobby. GG gets called. Showtime ties up the series. We are going to the ace match. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Again, Mana had an amazing start to the game. He was ahead, he was killing probes, he was denying bases, he was able to build up and take up into a superior army as well. But we spoke about it as it all came down to that final fight. Once again, Mana did not have to push out, but he did decide to. But it wasn't just that, it was also the fact that he had 4 to 5 Immortals that were not actually a part of the fight. It looks like there was a bit of mispathing. It looks like Mana tried to rotate towards the side of sides of the 4th base for Showtime, but half the army did rally off and veer off towards the top side into a different attack path, and they were isolated. They were on their own. Then the fight occurred, of course, and all those Immortals, for half the fight, they weren't even engaged. GG. GG, well played. And with that, we're now getting into game number 3, the ace match. We'll see how this story ends as we're loading into 10,000 feet. Let's go. Let us go. As we are loading into the ace match. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of 10,000 feet, we have the Polish Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Team Liquid. It is Mana. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the blue Protoss player, the blue Protoss himself, representing Sentinels from the land of Germany. It is showtime. We go. So we've made it here to the final game of the series. We've made it to the ace match. It all ends here. It all ends on 10,000 feet. This is one of the more aggressive maps in the map pool. Shorter rushes by ground, but not by too much, I will say. It isn't the smallest map by any means, but does favor aggression nonetheless. And we'll see what our players do decide to go for this time. Remember, last game was even Showtime having a failed proxy as well. Like, again, there was so much going right for Mana last game. Did fumble towards the end. So I'm just trying to fix up the title. We're good. We are good. Once again, we do see. Once again, we do see Showtime going for a proxy. Remember, Showtime is going for a proxy pylon every game so far in this series. Game 1, it was a fake out. Game 2 was real. Game 3, fake out, but this time he gets scouted. I mean, I'm sure a lot of this comes down to the fact that Showtime has been very, very consistent when it comes to his proxy pylons in this series. So Mana does confirm that it is not real. Meanwhile, Mana going for his own fake proxy pylon. Let's go. But he doesn't let him scout. So unfortunately, there's a bit of a give and take here. On the one hand, it's really cool that Mana went for his own pylon hidden, but he makes sure that Showtime doesn't even get into the main, so Showtime doesn't know that a pylon is hidden. So in the end, it looks like this pylon, this proxy setup here for Mana shouldn't really come into play. That's moving out, and I believe Mana shoots first. Yeah, Mana does barely shoot first. It's close. Trade 1-on-1. Again, Mana did have a better trade. Showtime is going to get out of here. Showtime saves his pylon. Showtime has his own faster expansion as well, as Mana was forced to delay his own Nexus. And behind this, we do have his Showtime going for his Twilight Council. So we're getting into Twilight Council, getting into Blink. Meanwhile, Mana has yet to... Oh, actually, has gone for a Robo Opener himself. Very safe play out of Mana. Once again, very safe play. So just like last game, the goal for Mana should just be to turtle up. Should be to turtle up, to build up his immortal count, and to go for a later push. Meanwhile, Showtime will have map control and has more potential to harass. So Hallucination moves in, confirms the Twilight Council is aware. Oh, we're going for an early push. Okay, never mind. I mean, the Immortal first should have been a tell, but the Hallucination spots this. Mana's at least going to kill the Pylon, but I believe based on this War Prism that he intends to commit even harder. Prism is on the way. Showtime has a shield battery. Second Pylon. Battery goes down. Now, what's important about this timing is that Mana has the Immortal. Showtime does not have Blink. Blink is still not yet done. It's being countered as we speak, but I believe the initial stages of the fight will occur without any Blink control. I've just got plenty of force fields. Plenty of force fields. Mana picks in. Locks down a couple of Stalkers. Gets one. Ah, not even. Okay, gets a Sentry. And pulls away. And Mana, he does have more force fields. Blink is almost done. 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 more seconds. One Sentry, 2 Sentries go down. Miscontrol there by Mana. Sentries do rally away. And ends up trading. Yeah, he does end up trading here. Ooh, blink is done, dives on the prism, and Mana, he will lose everything. The boys are being pulled. And Mana, he overextended, stuck around too long. And with blink finishing Mana, he lost everything. The Immortal, the War Prism, the Sentries, and even most of the Adepts. And now Showtime can counterattack. Yeah, it's go time. He's counterattacking behind this, he can expand. Mana's in a rough position. Oh, all in. Okay, so he's going for an Immortal Adept all in. Mana, he knows he's behind. Now, the best chance that Mana has here is that a Showtime is overly greedy. He's overly greedy. And Mana can pop off. Basically, Glaive Adepts, they do not scale well into a longer game, but they do a great job when it comes to buffering for Immortals early on. So Mass Adept is going to be the meat shield. It's also an alternate answer to Charge, which should be the natural progression point for Showtime. And again, Mana's hope here is that Showtime is he saturates his third base, he techs up, he gets forges, he gets simple archives. Oh no! Mana! Okay. Oh Jesus, that was so close. Showtime was rallying over. He was rotating. Doesn't get the prism. Oh my god. Mana threading the needle. He slips by, just barely. Jesus. Showtime, he may still just go for the dive here. There's not really much to protect the Immortals. There's not much to protect. Mana gets into the mineral line, denies mining at the third base, dropping into the main. There's a recall. That's a Stalker kill. There's a recall back home. 5, 6 probes going down. Not bad. 7 probes even. 7 probes catching out some Stalkers. But Mana doesn't quite commit. Not yet. He's still building up his army. Ah, Mana supply blocked. Now is not the time. That is brutal. So unfortunate supply block here for Mana. He's going to expand as a result. Oh boy. Like, Mana did kill 7 probes, but he's still behind. Like, he's still behind economically. Warping in more Adepts. Showtime. Oh, does begin. And Mana's going to try to defend here with a bare minimum. Defend with Immortals and Sentries. Here comes a counterattack. At the same time, Showtime looking to dive into the main. He has the Observer. Adepts stay shade in. Ooh, Stalkers getting caught out. Nice figures here by Mana. Does catch 2 Stalkers. Oh, he has to be careful. Does pull away. Shades out of the third. His way shades out. Mana gets caught. We'll lose 1 Immortal. Mana a little bit inattentive there. Wasn't able to save it. And Showtime, he's going for the main. And do we commit to the base trade? I believe recall's on cooldown. It is. Yeah, recall's on cooldown. Dives into the main base. Mana, he has to counterattack. It's the only way. Gateway's getting depowered. And he's pushing into 3 shield batteries. And Showtime just gives it up. Very nice force fields. Showtime gives up the expansion. Gives up the low ground. Oh. At the same time, all the gateways are getting depowered, and we're not able to warp in across the map. But Mana has a massive bank. He has a bank, a brutal choke point as well. Not going to be easy to push up into. Mana, he has to rotate, but still his natural's on fire. And we can't afford ninja bases. Oh, there's the recall. There's the recall back home. Shield barriers are finishing up in time, and there are so many Stalkers here. Jesus. An insane stalking out. The boys are being pulled. Blinks on forward, and Showtime to clean this up. He should just completely clean this up. He can one-shot the Immortals. GG, well played, and Showtime will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the next round. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Showtime will claim the series. Again, I can see a world where Mana could have toyed. Like, Mana, game 2 was so heavily in favor of Mana until that final fight. Here, coming into game 3, we saw that Showtime was a lot more comfortable. He was able to punish and shut down the initial Immortal push. I'm referring to the first time that Mana moved out with his very first Immortal. He did lose it immediately. He lost the first Immortal, he lost momentum. He was forced into an all-in that was also heavily delayed as well. The Prism was sniped initially, if you recall, with that first push. Like, there was just so much there that just crumbled around Mana. Even when it came to the base trade, he was late to the base trade as well. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Showtime. Shout out to Mana for making a series out of it. And with that, we are going to be following Showtime. Into his next series. Oh boy. It is going to be Showtime versus who? Showtime versus Reynor. Oh boy. Here we go. As again, Reynor, he's been patiently waiting in the upper bracket. And we're about to get into that matchup. Bearing in mind as well, there's going to be a best of 5. Best of 5 here between Reynor and Showtime. Also, if you're a fan of Mana, do not worry. He's going to be knocked down to the lower bracket where he will have another chance at redemption. So he will have another chance. Let's go. There it is. Okay, game 1 is going to be on Tourmaline, but again, these two are going to be facing off in a fresh best of 5. They're still in the upper bracket, and we'll see how our players do compare here. We'll see how the meta has shifted. I mean, the meta has shifted quite a bit when it comes to ZVP in the current meta. We've seen a lot of all-ins, a lot of aggressive builds out of Zerg players, and we'll get into the reason why. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tourmaline, we have the blue Zerg player, the blue Zerg player himself, from the land of Italy, representing Basilisk. It is Reynor. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have the German Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Sentinels. It is a Showtime. Here we go. As we are going to be settling in. From here, welcome to Tourmaline. Tourmaline is one of the more aggressive maps of the map pool. We speak about this all the time, but Tourmaline has a very open third. You can see it here. There's a massive entrance into the third base, which is even bigger once you knock down those rocks. So a massive entrance, a massive arc. So this does favor the aggressing player, as it will have a greater concave pushing into the third base. On top of that, we have, I mean, obviously there's no ramp, there's no point of elevation. On top of that, bam, likewise, another massive entrance in between the natural and the third. Now, because of these two massive entrances, not just that, but also because of the very direct attack path from natural to natural, and if you noticed, once again, going from natural base to natural base, there's no high ground, there's no ramp, there's no high ground elevation, there's no ramp. There is some side blockers here. There's a little bit of side blockage here in the center, but that's it. That's all that can really slow down and push, because that all-ins are favored. We've seen a lot of German taxis, we've seen a lot of 3-base all-ins as well. Specifically, it is quite difficult for a Protoss player to defend their third and to defend their fourth base. So we've seen some players attempt and struggle and fail to defend here on Tourmaline, which is why instead we have seen a lot more aggressive play instead. We've seen Protoss players be the aggressor, go into glaive adepts, go into earlier blink timings, and be in the face of the Zerg player. You cannot try to just turtle up and macro up here on Tourmaline, and this is the case with a lot of maps. With a lot of maps in the current map pool. So for the majority of the year, actually, the meta in PvZ was to go Stargate into Blossom and Blink, into Storm, into Skytoss, and turtle up into Skytoss and turtle up into a longer and later game. But because of the map pool specifically, that is less viable. There are certain maps where you can still do that on, but for the most part, it is less viable. So we should be seeing Showtime take a very different approach here, as we're expecting aggression out of Reynor. We'll see. We shall see. As Reynor, he does throw down his expansion. Stargate's almost done. Again, should just be Oracle into a third. But really, our eyes are on the Twilight Council timing of Showtime. And to be fair, if there's ever going to be a player that can successfully defend and turtle up on Tourmaline, it probably would be Showtime, right? He's got the most experience with that. I still don't like the idea of Showtime going for a more defensive build, but we'll see. Has double dip into the main. Gets 1, 2, 3 drones. 3 drones go down. Not bad. 3 workers for 2 adepts. I see Estes Slow Joe in the chat. You missed out on the first series. We did cover Mana versus Showtime, and as you can see, Showtime did barely win that series over Mana. I say barely because there's 100% a world where Mana could have toured. 100%. Like Mana, he was looking so good in game 2, but did just slip up towards the end. And then Showtime brought it back. Meanwhile, Showtime is going for an early Twilight Council. So early council at a Showtime, Gateway Explosion. This looks like Glaive Adepts. So it looks like 4 Gate Glaives as a follow-up. You can see no Forge. With a delayed Forge, there's a higher chance it will not be Blink. But again, as we mentioned before, this is what we expect here at a Protoss players on Tourmaline. We expect to see some kind of earlier Glaive Adepts or charge timing or earlier Blink play. Earlier tech. And there it is, as we mentioned, Glaives. Again, the tell for this was the excess of gateways, but also the lack of Forge. Here we go. Now, bearing in mind, this is not an all-in, and this is not meant to end the game. This is not meant to kill, it is meant to maim. It's meant to maim Reynor. Reynor behind this went into an early Evo chamber, so that's +1 melee. This typically leads into Ling Hydra. Reynor is playing it safe, getting a safety Roach Warren. Ideally, he doesn't make any Roaches, but specifically, once he realizes how much danger he's in, he will need defensive Roaches. Depths they poke in, they pull away. Lings they check for saturation. Ooh, he does spot extra Depths warping in. Okay. Not too heavy of a count yet. But it's crucial here that Showtime hides his Adepts. As things they pick in, they confirm. Yeah, he sees, he knows Roach production's already begun. So Showtime, he failed to hide his Adepts, which means Reynor has that precious seconds to react. And here come the Roaches. Reynor is getting his Roaches up. Lings are amassing as well. There is a massive hole here in the natural, so Showtime can make his way in. No SimCity. But last, plenty of Lings, plenty of Roaches, and Reynor he holds. Reynor, he's holding on. As you mentioned, Showtime, he failed to hide his build, and now he's in a rough position. Showtime is in a very rough position here. Oracle's in towards the main base. They get 1 drone. Getting it to 2. Now, because of this build, and because of all these Adepts, Showtime, it means +1 is late. +1 is late, charge is late as well. Upgrades are delayed for Showtime. Tech is delayed. It's all just going to be later here. Now, this is going to be giving Reynor more time to drone. It means that Reynor, he's free to drone up on 4 bases. He's getting a 4th base, getting a 5th expansion. Droning is now occurring for Reynor. He's working towards his lair, and Reynor should have momentum coming into the mid-game. Now, I will say that at least Showtime keeps all the Adepts alive. True, at least he has them alive and he can still use them in some way defensively, but you don't open Glaive Adepts to be defensive with them. Like, it's... Oh, as it looks like there was a bit of latency issues for the second time, actually. Hopefully that doesn't persist throughout the entire series, but fingers crossed. You know, shout out to Stream Elements for letting him know. But as you can see, it'll say replay cost in the title of the stream. Is in the title, if we ever do one. As you see Reynor being active, moving out. Does spot the fourth base. Ooh, runs into the army. Now, we spoke earlier that they did survive the early game, so there's potential that they can find some economic damage, but alas, they're going to be zoned away. And you can see that Reynor's about to max out. Reynor zoned up to 87, he's on full 4-base saturation, cashing out zealots. And Reynor, he's rallying everything. He's sending it. Sending it across the map. Showtime, what does he have to defend? Okay, he has one Colossus. He's got 2 Immortals. Storm is a non-factor. So no Storm, he can morph into Archons instead. There we go, he's getting a 3rd Archon. Now this composition from Reynor is a little bit messy. It's a little bit messy. But Baneling speed is almost done, and he's going to have plenty of Banelings here to zone back the army. And to shut down the Zealots. Again, right now Showtime is very heavily reliant on these charge lots. And that's what the Banelings are for. As you have Roach Hydra on the right, you have Banelings on the left. Nice force fields. Yeah, force fields do zone away. The Zealots do survive. So a bit of an awkward attack here from Reynor, but he's still breaking through. Yeah, for the most part, he's still getting on top of the Immortals. Zealots are buying some time. Reynor, he's trading, and Showtime, he will hold. He will defend. Showtime, he maintains the core of his army. The Colossus, the Immortals, and the Archons. They survive. But can he survive the second wave? As Reynor, he's rebuilding, remaxing, getting ready for the second attack. Once again, when it came to the fight, very nice force fields, and Reynor, the Banelings, could not get on top of the Zealots. So that was the best fight that Showtime could have hoped for. True. And Reynor, he just has to keep going. Just keep going, keep rallying. Now pushing towards the natural. Showtime, he has to respond. Second army on the south side. Very nice stasis. Stasis does go up. Banelings, oh no! They're trying to make their way in. Once again, nice stasis trap. But the expansion will fall. Oh, does go for the recall. And he'll save it. Can he? Oh, it's going to be close. Yeah, barely will save the expansion. Lings, they collapse in. They kill the Nexus. And Showtime is stuck on 3 bases. Stuck on 3 bases. Reynor behind this, rebuilding, remaxing. This time the Hive is done. Vipers are in the mix. We have Lurker Tech on the horizon as well. Now what's important is what we mentioned previously. Yes, Showtime, he lost his base. He lost a big chunk of his economy. But the main core of his army, the Colossus, the Immortals, and now the higher Archon count, like this is actually becoming quite terrifying. The army itself is looking quite substantial, but this is also why it's crucial that Reynor teched up and has Lurkers. Now he has the answer. Before this, he was vulnerable to a counterattack, but now Lurkers are done. It means that Showtime can't really move out. Showtime does rotate. Oh. He's going to be moving in. How many Lurkers already? 6? 6 Lurkers are in position. So Ramba gets shut down. Nice round out of Reynor. Nice round as he even goes to the counterattack as well. Doesn't quite commit. And from here, we're slowing the game down. As we mentioned before, Showtime, he's able to reestablish his 4th base, but the economy is still lackluster. Showtime feels pretty all in. What I mean by that is that this army here from Showtime, if he loses it, he's not going to replace it. He doesn't have the economy to. So Showtime has to be very careful with his movement. It's also very Archon heavy, very Archon heavy. Catching up decent chunk of units. Reynor likewise. Oh. So far, Showtime. I mean, he's making the impossible possible. By the way, like we have not really seen many, if any, players successfully get up to bases like this. At the same time, Reynor did not 3-base all in. True. Like Reynor, he did play more macro as well, so he was not as aggressive as he otherwise could have been. But Showtime is built up. Now, the other thing that's scary here is that Showtime, he's not really set up for Sky Toss. Showtime, he has no Fleet Beacon, no second, he does have Fleet Beacon, he has no second or third Stargate. He's not really getting ready for that Sky Toss transition. He's still stuck on the ground. Here he comes. Meanwhile, Reynor, he has 15 lurkers. Going for the Nidus. Nidus into the natural. Showtime, he doesn't react. Uh-oh. Yeah, no reaction. Showtime, he does not see. Nidus will finish. Leading around by here towards the 4th base. And lurkers, they dive in. They dive straight on in. Again, Showtime out of position. They can always try to recall. Aliens, they don't quite get into the mineral line. Nice storm. Storm of the Lings, but these lurkers, they're popping off. They get 23 probes. 23 probes going about. Oh my god. And probes, they clump up. 30 probes falling. And Showtime, he just counterattacks. He just has to counterattack. Lurkers, they hit it by some time. Oh, death to bar. And from here, these lurkers can just walk into the main. Right? They can just walk into the main, wasting camp the production. They can stop the Tempest from popping out. Oof. You can see that Showtime, he cannot push into the mass lurker army. It's just not going to happen. Very nice into the main base as well. We do have a recall back home. Recall to the linear 3rd. And we'll see if we can keep up as lurkers, they get into the production. As I mentioned before, they can depower the Stargates. They can focus on the Fleet Beacon. And we'll see if they do. Mothership has arrived. Okay, nice cleanup on the lurkers. Lurkers are cleaned up. Main base is saved. But Reynor's still looking quite comfortable here. On the one hand, yes, both armies are maxed, but the soup does lie, right? The soup doesn't really tell the full story here. Showtime, he has a very low worker count, a very low economy. So similar to what we were saying previously, if Showtime takes a bad fight, he cannot rebuild his army. Lurkers, they do distract on the right. We got the wrong man on the left. Oh. So more lurkers moving in. Cloak does help. And to activate Cloak. Lurkers are going to be cleaned up. Nice fight here from Showtime. Shuts down a massive wave of lurkers. And Reynor just keeps counterattacking. Yeah, he keeps counterattacking. There should be enough lurkers here to win the fight. Lings, they hit the third base. Lurkers hit the fourth. And Showtime is all in. Showtime is all in. And we could even force a base trade. Okay. Base trade might be the best option, or is going to be the best option for Showtime. Oh, Lings, they run into Archons. Lings will be cleaned up. Okay, Showtime, he can pull this off. He can still do this. Yeah, we're just rallying in the 10. Hydras are going down, Lings are going down, and this death blow of an army may never be dealt with. No without defensive lurkers, and there are none. Lurkers are coming in from behind. Army will push into the main base, will kill all the tech. And at this point, Reynor cannot deal with this. Like, he cannot fight the main army. He doesn't have a high enough lurker count, not anymore. He did previously, until he lost his massive chunk of lurkers earlier. True. So Showtime is doing it. Showtime, he breaks into the main base. He will deny the upgrades, kill everything in the main. It's a lot of corruptors. That's an overinvestment into corruptors, is what I should say. Ultras are popping out. Reynor, he is on a one base economy. He preemptively evacuated these bases. He could be mining. He could be mining more efficiently. But did evacuate ahead of time. Showtime moves in, takes down the center base. Archons are revealed. The Ultras are stuck behind the army. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be close here. I mean, thankfully a couple of Ultras do pop out. Do they have any upgrades? They have some that do not have kindness plating. Oh. Yeah, no kindness plating. No armor upgrades at all, actually. These Ultras, they're made out of paper. They Jesus. They have +0 carapace and no kindness. Now, Showtime, he has no bases. He has no nexus. All the buildings are revealed. Showtime cannot afford a nexus. So, again, part of me feels like the best chance here might just be for Reynor to counterattack, and to go for the base trade and try to go for the elimination. But at the same time, he does have a decent chance to defend here if he stays defensively. He's got 16 lurkers. And remember, this is predominantly a ground army. So pushing into 16 lurkers is not going to be easy. Bearing in mind the corruptors, they will help against not just the mothership, but against the Colossus. So corruptors, they have their place here. What do we have? 15 lurkers. Yeah, here comes Cloak. The boys are being pulled. Blinding Cloud on the Archons. A decent Blinding Cloud, but alas, the Archons are breaking through. He's forcing his way in. Corruptors, they cannot engage. And Showtime, he's doing it. Showtime, he's breaking through. Boys are being pulled. Reynor is getting desperate. And Showtime, he breaks through the main army. I say that there's still a lot of lurkers. The lunkers, papi. Reynor, he's holding on. Just barely. I can't believe the mothership survived, by the way. Oof. Mothership did survive. Reynor is down to one drone. Down to one drone mining gas. He wants the mothership. He gets it. Mothership goes down. Prism as well. Ooh, he does fail to get the Observer. The Observer barely survived. How many lurkers? 7. 7 lurkers. Reynor, he's making a couple of extra drones. And thanks to those extra workers, I believe Reynor should be able to take this. As Reynor has no economy. Reynor, he has no economy. Oh! Corruptors overextend. They'll snipe the Observer, okay. But there's 2. Yeah, there's 2 observers. Gets immortal. Link slaps in, diving on the Colossus. The observer goes down. Yeah, no observer, no detection. And with that, Reynor, he does lose the base, but remember, he has two expansions, Pappy. Yeah, he can back off, he can reposition. Zero detection for Showtime, he lost the observer. It is what it came down to. Oh. There we go, 1 meter on the way. And GG gets called. Showtime, he spots the expansion, and Reynor will take game number 1. Whew, GG, well played. A very chaotic game here. Again, I do feel like Reynor had the advantage for a bit of a longer time, but Reynor did have some bad fights. He had some really bad fights where he got caught out with his lurkers, where I want to say he lost like 7 lurkers on the right hand side of the map, which was brutal. Likewise, he was unable to keep up with some of the rotations, and Showtime made that as close as possible to the point where he almost straight up won that game as well. It came down to the wire. It came down to a handful of units remaining. GG, well played. Imagine a world where even in the final fights, if Showtime was a little bit more attentive with his observers and pulled them back, if he saved them, then maybe he could keep going. But again, it was very close, very clutch. GG. Reynor takes game 1. But that could have gone either way. GG, well played. Catching up. Now, I've played a lot of Command and Conquer Generals lately, and I've had split thoughts on the fact that units can attack both ground and air. Units have like 50% more range when attacking air. I wonder how that would fit StarCraft. Specifically regarding that idea, I feel like one, most likely everything would have to be rebalanced, like numbers wise, in regards to range, just because if that idea was implemented, you would never just apply that flat to what the current range values are at the moment. That would just not fit. So you just have to rebalance everything and readjust everything. Otherwise, I feel like otherwise range ground units would be insane. Like lurkers and Colossus is what I'm thinking of. Like, because basically what you're saying is you want to cut the ground attack range of units in half. Or you want to increase their air attack range and double it, basically. So yeah, I feel like it would definitely favor some of those ground units that have longer ground attack range a little bit more. But on top of that, like, everything would just have to be rebalanced and rechanged. I feel like floating that idea is a simpler one. Is like the idea of like 50% mischance and how that wasn't implemented to StarCraft. I know there are some people that want to implement that and want that back in some way, shape, or form. For those that remember, in Brood War, you have half, like 50% chance to miss. Basically, it's like 46. It's like 43 or 46% chance to miss by attacking up into high ground. But that does slow down the pace of StarCraft quite a bit, because it means that you're more defensive, or it means that you have a stronger defensive advantage on the high ground, and it like de-incentivizes like attacks and pushes, and it slows down the game heavily. It's an interesting idea though, for sure. But like stuff like that, I don't know, like that sounds like it shuts down like Mutaplay and like ZBT. Like, again, like all the numbers would have to be changed around to like make it fit and make it work. There we go. Here we go. Spawning in the right hand corner of the Republic, we have the blue Zerg player. We have the Italian Zerg. Oh, representing Basilisk, leading the series 1-0. It is Reynor. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the German Protoss player. We have the German Protoss. We have the red Protoss representing Sentinels. It is Showtime. There you go. It's an interesting idea, but it doesn't really fit StarCraft and how it's designed and how it's built up. Like, it's built up in such a way where capital ships are meant to be stronger, referring to like BCs, referring to Skytoss, right? Like, that's meant to be like the end goal and the end game. So you don't want like a cheaper ground army to be superior or equivalent to that. Like, that's not something that you want out of the game. Like, it might sound good as a player that like maybe struggles against something like Skytoss, to have an idea that like, oh, what if Marines have double their range, Pappy? Then they're viable against Skytoss. But it's like, balance wise, that's not necessarily something that you want. Interesting idea. I think an idea like that would fit more if if something like Sky Toss and like air-based compositions was more of a viable option in the mid game, instead of strictly almost being like late game setups, then I think that would make more sense. Like, it would make more sense in a world where, like, I don't know, there was the equivalent of like Marine Marauder Medevac, like a bio composition but in the sky, right? Like, and you had to deal with an army like that. It would more sense. It would make a little bit more sense maybe there. Yeah, hard to say. Hard to say. I do have the temptation to go back and play some of those older games though. It's been a while. It's been a while. No time. No time. For now, we have our Stargate opener. This time we have an interesting follow-up. As you can see very quickly, it's going to be Stargate into a third base. Lings are here to try to punish, but there's no Forge. Robo into Twilight Council. This looks like a delayed Archon drop. So it looks like Robo into Twilight Council, into Temple Archives, in towards High Templar, into Archons. This is a build that has been rising in popularity in recent times. This initially rose in popularity at the beginning of the year, if not last year. So it's been a while since this was in the meta. In recent weeks, though, it made a return. This build kind of permeated throughout the European scene, specifically amongst players like Mana, Cristiano, Geralt, Skillus, MaxPax, and Showtime as well, as an alternate opener in PvZ. What does this lead to? This leads into, as I mentioned, a delayed Archon drop. It is later compared to like a DT opener and a DT Archon drop, so this does hit later. It's designed to give you map control, designed to shut down Overlord, shut down Lings, deny creep, and threaten Queens. And here come the Archons. And this traditionally leads into Charge Lot Archon Immortal. Now, the downside is that this does limit anti-air. Why? No blink, right? With this build, you do not have blink. So it does mean that Reynor, as the Zerg player, has the option to go into Mutas. Mutas is a viable option. Swarm Host is also a viable option as well. Reynor has options. Just because with this kind of opener, Showtime kind of telegraphs ahead of time the kind of composition he's going for. And I rotate up in towards the third base. Oh, Jesus, drones, they clump up for a moment. And again, this is all just keeping Reynor busy. Oh, Prism takes a lot of hits. The layer is now done. And I was curious here, it looks like going for Swarm Host, Infestation Bit. No Mutas, so no Spire, no Mutas. We're expecting Swarm Host from this Infestation Bit, but we'll keep an eye on Reynor. And if we confirm Swarm Host, we'll get into as to why that's the case. Showtime he drops in towards the third base, Oracle towards the natural. Once again, just trying to harass, just trying to poke in. Back at home, he's slowly building up his Immortal count, his Archon count. He's slowly refining his army. Este Reynor. Once again, it looks like they've been having some connectivity issues, though. This is the third time this series. Smerge. Ooh, and it's going to be Infestation Bits into... Oh, he's going for the Spire. Huh. Interesting. So he's going for the pit in towards Hive Tech, but he is still going for the Spire, but it's going to be a delayed Spire out of Reynor. Not just delayed, but Showtime, he doesn't scout. Ooh, none of vision. Barely none of vision here with the Revelation. But I'm a little bit surprised that Reynor did opt to go for a later Spire here, instead of it being earlier. Curious. Is the plan to get ready for Broodlords? Okay. Oh. Oracle goes down. Reynor could just never fight that army straight up. He could with all of his lurkers. Defensively, I mean. If you're referring to the last game, which I believe that is. Specifically before Reynor lost 7 lurkers on the right hand side, like it's definitely a fight he could have taken, but once he lost all those lurkers, like he had to commit to the base trade. There we go, Lings are amassing. Yep, looks like the plan was to rush into Broodlords. But a similar kind of like thought process is there, specifically with the lack of anti-air, right? We have High Templar, Archons, Immortals, Storm. Like, this is a beefy army. It's a very, very powerful ground army. But it's heavily reliant on Mass Immortal. So anti-air isn't really there. I mean, Broodlords are still a ways away, so we'll see if Reynor can survive. We'll see if he can survive until Broodlord tech. Reynor picks in. Sorry, Showtime breaks in. Goes to Rama. He gets a couple of kills. Does distract, and here we go. Corruptors are already building up. Corruptors are amassing. Greater Spire is about to finish, and now we can morph in Broodlords. And Broodlords should spell an end to this push. Like, that should just be it. Because again, how do you get under Broodlords with this kind of army? You don't. Fleet Beacon just finished off a Showtime. Here comes the mothership. Reynor's maxed out, so he's making one Broodlord. A singular Broodlord. Reynor, he has to throw away some supply. Collapsing in. Does take some swords to the face. Banelings, they do get on top of the High Templar though. And not bad, and now we need as many Broodlords as possible. So run back here on the right hand side. Where are the Broods? Ah, Reynor, he remaxed. Yeah, he already remaxed. He can morph in 3 extra Broodlords. And we still do not see a second Stargate. Things they try to collapse in. The Broodlords are ready. No, the Templar! No! He does come from behind. Templar, they do get away. Whew. Okay, they do get away. Bailey, they crash into the Zealots. Better trades here from Reynor. Collapsing of the Immortals as well. And even without the Broodlords, Reynor, he takes a better fight. Oh my god! Surrounds the army, shuts him down, and now the Broodlords, one Broodlord is revealed. They're coming, Pappy, they're coming. What was meant to be the power spike for Reynor didn't even matter. Like, the Broodlords that were not a part of the fight, not a part of the engagement, but they're making their way across the map, they'll get there. Eventually. Este Reynor. They'll get there. As the good Broodlords are revealed. Again, there's Vanilla Stalkers. Vanilla Stalkers to defend. Reynor, he has to be attentive. Yeah, Reynor, where's the support? He's gonna lose one Brood. One Broodlord goes down. We have a switch into Ultras. Okay. This time he has upgrades for it. Okay, Ling Ultra peels off towards left hand side. Immortals are in position. We're diving on the Templar, forcing the Archon. And Reynor, he should have too much here. Yeah, he breaks through the Gateway Army. Blink is not done. Every Stalker goes down. Down goes the expansion. 39 probe kills. Oh my god. Wreaking havoc in the 3rd, in the 4th base. These Ultras will be cleaned up, but at a cost. At a cost of the expansion. GG gets called, and Reynor, he snowballs out of control. He takes game number 2. GG. Whew. GG, well played. A bit of a cleaner game here from Reynor here in game 2. I was curious to see how he was going to respond to the delayed Archon drop. And I was curious, was it going to be Mutas? Was it going to be Swarmhosts? It was neither. Instead, he just teched up into Broodlords. And even then, he didn't really need them, but he rushed into a faster Hive, into faster Greater Spire, into Broodlords. That was kind of like what he was falling back on if need be. But he had some very nice engagements, very nice creep spread. We didn't really get to praise the creep, but because the creep was so good, it meant that Showtime couldn't really threaten the bases too much. He wasn't really able to do more than just posture in the center, and then he got caught out. GG. GG, well played. With that, we're loading into game number 3. We're going to be loading into Ruby Rock, one of the smaller maps of the map pool here, and we're expecting something a little bit different. Let's go. Let us go. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the Italian Zerg player. We have the blue Zerg representing Team Basilisk, leading the series 2-0. It is Reynor. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the German Protoss player. We have the red Protoss for Sentinels. It is a showtime. Here we go. Yeah, showtime coming in for the block. And we'll be able to delay. Again, thanks to the shorter rush distance, despite Reynor going for the initial extractor trick, he won't be able to expand. Yeah, forced to expand elsewhere. Showtime is successful. And again, welcome to Ruby Rock. Ruby Rock does have a very short rush distance by ground. I haven't checked yet, but I believe Ruby Rock has the shortest rush distance by ground. I think it might be the smallest map in the entire map pool. I'd have to get out the measuring tape and compare Ruby Rock with Tourmaline. And when it comes to rush distance. But regardless, a very aggressive map. We do see players struggle to defend the third base locations. I will say though that surprisingly Reynor did not all in on Tourmaline. I would favor all in play and all ins on Tourmaline. I'd favor it here on Ruby Rock as well, but Reynor hasn't really been going for that style. He's been playing more macro oriented, more later game oriented even. Reynor, he hasn't been cutting workers. Here we go. As from here, showtime, we should be seeing another Stargate out of our Protoss. And we're expecting an early Twilight Council. It's very similar to Tourmaline. Remember, what happened on Tourmaline, showtime opened up Stargate into a third base, into 4 gate glaives. Okay, into 4 gate glaives, which unfortunately didn't really achieve much damage. Didn't really achieve any damage. It forced out roaches, and that's it. As Reynor was able to scatter ahead of time and react and shut it down. But that's kind of what we're expecting here. An earlier Twilight Council into glaives again, or into earlier charge, earlier blink. Earlier something. Oh. Reynor, he's making a bunch of links. We do have a bit of a link flood here. Reynor, he's still joining up, and oh, once again. Yeah, every game so far in the series. A little bit unfortunate. It looks like there has been latency issues. But you can see that Reynor, he's hiding his lings. The goal is to deny the third. As he pokes in. The door is open. Okay, he just walks in. He just walks in. Probes are under fire, they're under threat. And he gets how many? So far, no. Okay, there we go. He gets 1, 2, 3 probe kills, not bad. Can he get 4? Not quite, but 3 probes go down. Nice damage here by Reynor. That should not have happened. And Deb gets locked down. Reynor, he defends, he attacks, and the third base is delayed. So late third base out of showtime. He's getting his gateway. Rolling up. Reynor is checking for the third that does not yet exist. He moves out of Reynor. And showtime is still stuck on 2 bases. Just now going to be expanding. But he has to race back home with the second Oracle. Aye, aye, aye. Reynor, he confirms. And we'll see if showtime does throw down an early council. There it is. Speaking of, yep, there it is. Early Council. So early Twilight Council here at a Showtime. Is it too obvious to go for Glaive Adepts? He already did it once. Forge. Okay, not Glaives. No Glaives, going for the Forge. Now, this is a later, sorry, this is a quote-unquote earlier Twilight Council in comparison to the Nexus, but remember the Nexus is late. So this might just be Blinken +1. So higher chance of Blinken +1. Showtime poking out. Oh, okay, it's going to be charge and +1 instead. Okay. Going into an earlier charge timing. Now, what does this do? This is meant to punish a player that skips roaches. Speaking of Reynor, he's going into a fast lair. I didn't see an Eva Chamber. I don't see a Roach Warren either. Gases are being taken. Are we going to Mutas? No shot. On Ruby Rock? Muta play would be so risky here. The other option is going for Hydras and going for an early Hydra timing. But even then, you'd have an Eva Chamber by now. Even a Fake Out. Show us Aspire. So for 5 drones going down. Okay, Hydra. So he's going into Hydras. This should be very committed here from Reynor. Reynor is cutting a lot of corners. Remember, he has no Baneliness, he has no +1 melee, he has no Roach Warren. So very greedy play here by Reynor. Which means that Showtime can punish. Oracle's going to be sent away. How many gateways are we on? 4. Okay, was that late? So delayed gateways is Zealot is the tell. Yep. Reynor knows. There should not be a Zealot here at this stage of the game, and I believe our charge is already revealed. Showtime, he's missing his opportunity. Like, usually when you rush into charge like this, you go for earlier gateways, later tech, and you hit an earlier charge timing, but no, Showtime is being defensive instead. He already showed his hand. And Reynor, he's not training. Reynor's not training, he's going for the all-in. Here we go, the queens are walking across the map. It's all or nothing. This is why there's no Eva Chamber, by the way. There's no chamber because there's no upgrades, because there's no intention for the game to last that long. So it's a Ling Hydra all-in out of Reynor. The first all-in of the series. Let's go. That's Ling's Aether and the natural. Archon takes a lot of hits. So I'll say do trade well. Storm is not yet done. Reynor, does he have enough here? Especially with Storm finishing. I feel like with Storm finishing up, Showtime should shut this down. He has the ideal composition. Yeah, he has Archon, Storms, Charge Lots, Storms, they shut down the Hydras. And Reynor should lose everything here. Yeah, it's almost a hard counter. We spoke about it. When you go for a charge timing like this, like, you're hoping that your opponent skips Banelings and skips Roaches. And you can see here with this all in, there's no Roaches and there's no Banelings. It's purely Ling Hydra. And Reynor, he has no follow-up here into a longer game. Oof. Yeah, now he's droning. Now he's droning. Now we get the Spire. Reynor, he's desperate. Ooh, Showtime, he throws down cannons. I mean, I don't blame him. In Showtime's mind, he's terrified of Reynor backing off, remaxing, and then going for a second wave. So Showtime, he's terrified of a second attack. We know that Reynor is droning, Showtime doesn't. Ooh, despite that, Showtime out of position. Oh, that should not have happened. Reynor, he denies the 4th. Big pickoff here for Reynor. bearing in mind that Reynor's army right now, he's like a paper tiger, right? Like his army is, it'll just topple over with like 2 storms. Like Reynor, he has a very fragile composition. So for Reynor to force a cancel, that's a big move here for Reynor. And then here come the mutas. Now once again, these mutas are built to buy time. They're designed to buy some time, to keep Showtime busy, while Reynor amasses an army. Again, in a head-on fight, we have to favor Showtime, but the mutas are coming. Oh, nice pick up. He gets 1. He gets 2 oracles. 2 oracles go down. Showtime, that was miscontrol out of the Protoss. Mutas, they dive into the main base. Oh, but Showtime, he's ready. Phoenix production has begun. He has no blink, but he's in position. I spoke too soon. Mutas, they still don't find any damage though. Reynor is getting desperate. Tries to commit in. Gets punished. Once again, there's so many Hydras going down here. Showtime, he can just A-move, to be honest. He can, if he wanted to, he could just A-move across the map. Showtime, he's max, but initially he wants this group of Hydras. Mutas, they do get into the natural. Hydras, they barely slip away. Finally, here comes that Baneling Nest again, but a very late Baneling Nest, and more importantly, late Baneling speed. Jesus, there's so many mutas. And Showtime doesn't care. Yeah, he stopped caring. He does leave some mutas to defend back at home, and he zones away the mutas, and here comes the main army. Again, a terrifying death ball here from Showtime. What does Reynor have to defend? Mutas. Mutas and Ducklings and a handful of Hydras. Showtime turns around. He wants those Hydras. We do see that Showtime is a little bit lopsided here with his army. He takes out more bases, takes out more expansions, and again, Reynor, he just doesn't really have anything like this. There's nothing here for Reynor. Again, Reynor, he just had a failed 3-base all-in. Surprising, despite the fact he scouted. Remember, he saw the Zealot, he saw charge early. That's why I was concerned for Showtime. I was like, oh, Reynor saw what's happening. Reynor, he can just tech up, but Reynor didn't. He still went for the all-in anyway, which was surprising against a player with a superior composition. He just take it into the base. Okay. Takes off some probes. This is still delaying Showtime. They're catching a couple of Phoenixes. Showtime, he commits. Are there any Banelings? 0. So 0 Banelings. Once again, Showtime has been so tentative with his army. Just send it into the natural map. Just go for it. Showtime, he's been so timid with his army control, but there we go. Makes his way into the natural. Showtime, he'll lose his triangular 3rd. But he should not lose his 4th. 4th base will stand strong. Showtime going for more bases. And he should kill the main. Now, this is arguably best case scenario for Reynor when it comes to trying to deal with this army, fighting half at a time. But even then, like, it's not gonna be easy. All right, how many storms can Reynor tank? He splits, does pre-split, diving on the Templar, zoning storms. Yeah, does storm ahead of time. That's a lot. Oh my god, that's a lot of storms. But most of them don't really come into play. Yeah, and with that, the army will be cleaned up. As we mentioned, this is like best case scenario fight for Reynor. He fights half the army, cleans it up. But the other half is terrifying. That's a lot of Archons. Oh my god. These mutas, they can never engage into this many Archons. It's not going to happen. Drones, they do fan out. Yeah, magic boxing here on top of the third. Shield batteries are hanging on the Archon as well. Eventually, Reynor, he will clean this up. Oh, there's the recall. There's the recall back home. Saves the base. Oh no, the Phoenixes. Phoenixes are thrown away. Losing all 3 Phoenixes. Some messy micro here out of Showtime. But he left enough to kill. Left enough to kill. Reynor is down to 7 probes. He's going to be down to barely any mining. At the same time, these mutas are very mobile. True. Very mobile. Reynor is down to his natural. He has top left. Or top center. But outside of Showtime making mistakes, Showtime should be fine. Like he's Showtime should have this. What I mean by that, if Showtime, say he moves out with like a quarter of his army, even half his army, if he moves out, then once again Reynor can just deal with the army half at a time. But GG gets called. The writing is on the wall, and Showtime, he fights back. He puts a point on the board. GG. Whew, GG, well played. And again, an odd choice here from Reynor, winding it back as to what happened in this game. Reynor, he initially was setting up for an all-in. That's why Reynor, he went up to, what was it, 5 gases? Yeah, he went up to 5 gases, 3 base saturation. He skipped his Evo chamber and was going into a Ling Hydra Queen all-in. But before he committed to the all-in, what did Reynor do? He scouted and he saw charge. He saw the one zealot with the army. Charge was revealed, and that let him know that it was a +1 charge follow-up into Charger Archon Immortal. Like Reynor, he knew what was the kind of composition that it was going to be facing off against. And the problem is that the composition that Showtime was building up is a hard counter to Ling Hydra. It is a hard counter. Without Banelings and without Roaches, you have nothing to really face off against this very heavy gateway composition, very heavily reliant beefy army as well, with more Archons and more Immortals. And as you saw, like Reynor, his army was completely shut down. Like his army just melted before the Zealots and before the Archons and before the Storm. And Showtime had a pretty comfortable early game, pretty comfortable mid game. He was able to secure himself. Reynor had a chance with mutas. As you saw, he was being so annoying with them, harassing, poking in, getting mineral line after mineral line, but he could never fight head on. He could never take a head on fight, and GG all played. Showtime eventually moved out and eventually took it from there. And now we have a series. Now we have a back and forth. We're going to be loading into Title Citadel. Going to be loading into Game 4. Let's go. Let's go. And this morning, in the bottom right hand corner, we have the Italian Zerg player. We have the blue Zerg representing Basilisk. It is Reynor. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the German Protoss player, the red Protoss for Sentinels. It is Showtime. So I was just opening up the window, opening up the door. Again, it is getting to summer here in Australia, so it's getting quite hot. It's getting quite hot. Here we go. Here we go. We're getting into game number 4, and we're loading into Title Citadel. Title Citadel is one of these larger maps in the map pool, has a very spread out base layout. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th bases are all very spread out, so trying to expand and trying to get into a longer game is going to be difficult here. So we're expecting more mid-game aggression between our two players, or between from Showtime specifically. Turtling up will be difficult. That's kind of the tale of most of the maps in this map pool. It is difficult to turtle up and to build up into a later game. I was very impressed with Showtime's abilities to do so on Tourmaline. Very impressed, but still wasn't enough. Barely not. Otherwise, hatch gas pool, send that opener here out of Reynor. Because the map is so large, this is where Muta play is viable, referring to just straight Spire, not like Hydra all in into a Fail all in into Spire like last game, like that. Going straight Mutas, we can see that working here, kind of. I say kind of. The problem is that this map is large, true, but I feel like Showtime is incentivized to be aggressive, so you don't want to get caught out by an aggressive Protoss player by going into Mutas. So it would be a risk. Showtime, he's already revealed this series that he's willing to go into Glaive Adepts, so he's already showing that he's willing to be aggressive and in your face. He's not just gonna turtle. Ah, the ducks in the chat. Beautiful, beautiful. Reynor takes his third, and really we're just waiting for the tech of choice here from Showtime. We're waiting for the Twilight Council timing. Just lying in wait. So far, the first Oracle's on the way, second one's in production. Showtime, he does get his gateway first, and now he goes for the expansion. So third is on the way. Everything looking normal so far. The other added benefit here of this map, if Showtime were to be more turtle heavy and more defensive, there's a gold base. So the Zerg player can always take the gold base as well, have a boosted economy, and have that advantage coming into the late game. Or mid to late game. So that is another big factor. So far, the Oracles aren't really finding much damage, and Showtime is not going for the early tech. Not this time. Okay. Speaking of early tech, Reynor, he throws down the Evo Chamber. It is going to be an Evo Chamber before any other tech structure. So it should be plus on melee. Oracles, they poke in. And there should be a Ling, I was going to say a Ling Hydra composition. Reynor, he's playing it safe this time. Safety Roach Warren. Remember last game he had no Roach Warren and he was punished for it. This time, safety Roach Warren, just in case. Showtime's going for the standard timing. Forge, Templar Archives, going for plus on and blink. Sorry, Twilight Council I meant to say. Forge, Twilight Council into blink. And we'll see if Showtime can play straight up here on Titan. Perhaps they make their way in towards that third. But does commit to the shade. Yeah, he commits in, Lings are in position. Queens, they do respond. And so far he gets 2 drones. 2 drones do go down. Some economic damage. Elevation shade into the natural. Nice Evo Chamber wall up here from Reynor. And so far, getting up to 3, getting up to 4. 4 drones. It's okay. It's not ideal. 5 drone kills. Getting a 6th and 7th towards the end. Okay. Getting up to 8. 8 drones go down. Did cost Showtime 6 adepts. But adepts didn't really scale too well into a longer game. And Showtime pulls away. Now, as he pulls back, we have Reynor attempting his own counterattack. Back at home, there are Stalkers, and Reynor, he may catch 1 or 2 Stalkers. Oh, not quite. And Reynor pulls away. But he at least scouts the warp pins. So now he knows no charge. He knows that he does not need roaches. So he pokes in, he scouts, he spots all the Stalkers. Reynor, he's going into Ling Hydra. As we mentioned before, the Roach Warren here was just for safety, just in case it was charge or glaives. So So Reynor, who's just being safe, goes in for the scout, confirms Storm is on the way. Showtime does poke in. Oh Jesus, Reynor, he missed the stasis traps. Yeah, with that Showtime, he can shut down this army. Stasis goes off, massive connection. And Reynor's in trouble. Reynor, he's in a lot of trouble here. These lanes that were necessary to defend. Queens are exposed, the base as well. Then the stasis goes off. And there's one more behind this. And Queens are exposed, Hydra's exposed as well. Showtime, he's out trading, and one more volley, he can kill the base. No. Ooh. Another stasis connects. Reynor, he barely holds on to the expansion. He does hold, does survive. Okay. He's building up his Ling Hydra. Meanwhile, Showtime, he's going for it. This is a bold move. I have not seen this work yet, but okay. So we spoke earlier here in the beginning of this game. We spoke about Tidal Citadel and how we expected to see something more aggressive at a Showtime because it is difficult to turtle and defend because how spread out you are. And he's going for it. You can see a wall of cannons, a wall of shield batteries, faster Storm. The goal here for Showtime is to turtle to defend and to build up into a maxed out army in the mid to late game. He's not rushing into Sky Toss. True. That is important to bear in mind. Where in the past, in the previous patch, it'd be very common in this position to throw down a Fleet Beacon. This is when you throw down the Fleet Beacon, second Stargate, and you start Tempest production. But because it is difficult to get away with that here on this map, we do see that Showtime's committing to a ground army. He's committing to his ground composition. We saw this same style on Tourmaline, if you recall. So Showtime is going to be doing his best to defend. You can see he's fully walling off. He's walling off the high ground. Rocks are being knocked down. Reynor, he's maxed out, or he's maxing out with Lingbane Hydra. And we spoke about this. The problem on this map specifically, if the Protoss player turtles, is the gold. Like Reynor, he gets a free gold expansion. So Reynor has a boosted economy. It means that he maxes out even faster than normal. So there's so much working against Showtime here. Storm is done. Nice Storm on the Hydras. Storm pops off. Lings, they do slip in. Slip into the bases. Banelings are making their way over as well. Cybercore goes down and no more Stalkers. Nice stasis. Stasis goes off. Forcing out more Storms. Banelings, they do not connect. So far, Showtime is holding onto his third base. Oh, what about the natural? I mean, that's still a lot of Storms left over. He's got 4 High Templar. He's got 4 Templar left over. Nice concave here from Reynor, though. Yeah, the concave is solid. The arc is solid here. Takes a bit of fight. We're running out of Storms. There's what? 2 Storms left. 1 Storm remaining. There's 1 Storm left here for Showtime. That's the final Storm. And Reynor, he barely has enough here. Force the guy back. He needs more reinforcements, but now there's no more splash damage. Showtime, he's holding. Holding for now. And Reynor, his reinforcements are just a little bit delayed. They're delayed, they're still coming. There's 5 Templar warping in, Jesus. Warping in a massive wave of Templar. There's the NG overcharge, so he's got a couple of Storms. Showtime, he's surviving. But there is a massive opening into the natural. So it's been a difficult defense. Again, because there's so many angles of attack, even though he set up all these cannons, it didn't really come into play. The cannons, the side defense, the wall off. I mean, Reynor, he can pick and choose where to push in. And here comes wave 2. He's pushing into 7 Templar. Honestly, with 7 High Templar, I think Showtime holds. Depends on the connections, of course, but that's still a lot of zoning potential. We'll see. Anything to do, take down the Templar. Okay, 1 Templar goes down. There's still, what's going to be 2 Storms left. But yeah, Reynor's running out of steam. He's running out of steam. Showtime, he successfully defends here. Very nice. As you mentioned, Reynor, his reinforcements were late. It looks like maybe he was missing injections. But the rally was just not good enough. And Showtime is holding. And partly because of what we mentioned previously, something similar happened on Tourmaline and it's happening here as well, where Showtime, even though he's turtling and trying to be hyper defensive, he was not tempted by Skytoss, right? He was not tempted to cut corners and to take to the skies and rush into a fleet beacon and rush into Tempest production that would have gotten him killed. Like, he turtled up and he committed into Storm, into more High Templar, more Archons, recognizing that he could not get away with rushing into Skytoss. And now Reynor's in a really rough position. Reynor, he's been all in this entire game, this entire time. He's been basically lair tech all in. What I mean by that, no infestation bit, no lurker den, no hive tech, no hive upgrades. He just lost the gold base as well. Like, Reynor, the quality of this army is actually quite low, and he's being outscaled. Like, Reynor is being outscaled over time. Reynor, he had to, I mean, again, he was all in, he had to end the game, he failed to do so, and now Showtime has the superior competition. He has a massive amount of Archon High Templar. And a head-on fight, Showtime will win. If they fight head-on. As Reynor does threaten a dive. The Archons, they just tank all the Ling. Jesus, so much Ling Main is thrown away. The Archons, they just tank it. And again, the Archons tank the Ling Bane, the charge lots, they punish the Hydras. Storm kills everything. And we're just waiting for the move out. And here it comes. Here comes Showtime. Ay, ay, ay. And again, just a really impressive and really close and clutch defense here outside of the natural from Showtime. And that was game, essentially. That was game, as now Showtime, he does walk across the map, and this army should not be dealt with. Outside of from Showtime making mistakes, like if Reynor can somehow get on top of the Templar and force out storms or deny storms, then sure. If Showtime has some miscontrol and his army splits up, maybe. But Showtime, he kills one expansion, he pulls away, he rotates. He has 7 High Templar with his army. Now he is giving Reynor a lot of time to build up banelings. The hive is halfway done. But there's still a massive window of time here that Showtime can just bully Reynor. Speaking of, Zell set defend back at home. Queens are getting picked up. Nice move with High Templar. Zell set get into the mineral line. Jesus. Yeah, drones are going down. Queens as well. Storms AG. Mainly used for zoning here. Oh no, the Hydras that come back in too soon. There's a lot of Hydras going down. But again, Showtime's being really patient, but also giving Reynor a lot of time to potentially recover. Like Reynor, he has a greater spire on the way. Showtime, have some confidence, Pappy. Have some confidence. You can do it. Believe, Pappy. There we go. Oh my god, the life stands in the storms. Yeah, Reynor extends the storms out much longer. Storms, they just brutalize those Hydras. GG gets called. The writing was on the wall, and Showtime ties into the series 2-2. We are going to the ace match. Ooh, GG. GG, well played. Winding it back, as a reminder, Reynor, he was all in. He was completely all in, going up to pure Lingbane Hydra on Lair Tech. He had the boosted economy with the gold base, and again, I believe that Reynor would have enough to break and kill Showtime with the all in. but Showtime, he barely hung on outside of his natural. It was impressive. It was very impressive with his storms, with his archons. It was close. It did feel like Reynor was missing some macro cycles, and because of that, his reinforcements were a little bit delayed, and because of that, Showtime was able to have the breathing room he needed to survive and to defend. And once that defend occurred at the natural, that was game. That was game then and there, as the all-in did fail for Reynor, and he was just outscaled. But once again, I do want to praise Showtime for the adjustment that he's made. Something that I've been harping on a lot is that it is difficult and not impossible to go for the same style that we saw last season and last patch, going for a Stargate opener into a third base, into +1 and blink, into storm, into sky toss. That was very common. That build I just mentioned was very, very common and very prevalent throughout the entire year of StarCraft in PvZ. Like, PvZ has been very stagnant, and we've been seeing that so much throughout the past over a year of play, to be honest. But because these maps are more open and more exposed, and the bases are more spread out, and because they're more difficult to defend, rushing into Skytoss is less viable now. It's less viable to rush into Skytoss, and you saw that Showtime, he was not tempted. He was not tempted until the very end to get a fleet beacon. He stuck with a ground army with more Storm, more High Templar, more Archons, and he was able to defend both on this map and on Tourmaline as well. GG. GG, well played, and now we're going to be loading into 10,000 feet. Let's go. The final game of the series, the Ace match. Here we go. And spawning in the top left hand corner of 10,000 feet, we have the Italian Zerg player. We have the blue Zerg representing Basilisk, being forced into a tied series. We'll see if we can bring him back. He was up 2-0, by the way. He almost 3-0'd at a certain point. It was crazy. Oh, he's been brought to the brink. Can he bring it back? It is Reynor. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have the German Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Sentinels, forcing the Ace match, bringing us all the way to game 5. It is a Showtime. He's brought it back. Has brought it back, and here we go. We're loading into 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet is one of the more aggressive maps out there. I will say that your initial 4 bases are quite close together compared to some of these other maps. We have our natural, so we have a main, we have our natural base, we have the linear third, and we have the forward 4th base. You can take them in whichever order you wish, but we have our 4 base set up here. They're quite close together. Rotating back and forth between them is relatively simple, relatively easy, so you can turtle up, you can defend. The downside, of course, is that this backwards base is exposed to the center of the map, so units like lurkers, siege tanks, technically Tempest in the late game, or Broodlords in the late game as well, can punish the center base. Likewise, the rush distance by ground is a little bit shorter here on 10,000 feet as well. I believe it is longer compared to Ruby Rock, but on average it's shorter. And we'll see what Reynor decides to go for. I feel like if he does decide to go for an all-in here, it's going to be a little bit weaker. As I mentioned before, it is easier to defend on 4 bases here on 10,000 feet. So we'll see. Muta play? I'm sure Muta's attempting. I'm sure Mutas are attempting. Now though, we're calming down. Another option, of course, is you can mine through these middle patches and expand here on the right hand side. But if you do take the space on the right, it does spread you thin and makes it difficult to get a 4th. So usually you save the space for a little bit later in the game as a Protoss player. As a Zerg player, you can ideally expand towards your opponents. Take the center base faster, spread creep faster, and try to be more aggressive. We'll see. Here we go. So now we do have the Stargate. Stargate open out of Showtime. Waiting to see the tech. After what I just saw in the last couple of games, I'm not opposed to Showtime being more defensive. Especially on 10,000 feet. Suddenly I'm like, you know what? He does not need to go into early glaives or early charge timing. Nah. It'll be fine. Open standard pack. You can do it. But again, we have gone the distance today, Pat. Aye. Gone the distance. So here comes the third. Showtime decides not to take the forward base yet. So it takes a linear, safer third base first. Getting a second Oracle out. So far, Reynor's keeping up. Queens are in position. Lings are ready on the right-hand side. Reynor, he denies any damage for the time being. Earlier Evo Chamber, this tells us we have +1 melee. So +1 melee is on the way. Evo Chamber behind the third. Once again, Reynor's going into Ling Hydra. After what just happened last game, I'm not fond of the idea of Reynor going for another Lair Tech all-in. Going into another Ling Bane Hydra all-in. I'm not really fond of it. But we'll see. He could just take up into Lurkers. He has the option. Standard timing with the tech. Twilight Council Forge. Should be +1 and Blink. Adepts take it into the middle line. They get 1 drone. 2 drone kills. Oh, getting up to 4. Oh my god. Yeah, 4 drones going down at the same time. Lings they counterattack. They do kill a Stalker. And it's getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand here. This is the downside of harassing with your Adepts. Because you have almost less back at home. That's going to be 5 for 5. Better trade for Reynor. Reynor, he only threw away Lings for that. You know, Showtime did trade gas with the Adepts. With that, gases are being taken. Lair is on the way. Technically, there is a chance that Reynor goes for a Spire here, but it should be Hydras. We'll see. Most Zerg players, if they're going into mutas, get a safety Roach Warren, just so they're safe against any kind of earlier push. They can reactively make Roaches. So without a Roach Warren, we're leaning towards Hydras here. Meanwhile, Temple Archives on the way, getting ready for Storm. These Oracles, they haven't really found much damage yet. They get maybe 2 drones. 2 drones go down. There's that Hydra, as we mentioned, led towards Hydra play. And now the next big moment here is we're waiting to see, is Reynor going to join up his 4th? Does he join up past 17? The answer is yes. He already has. Reynor making 5 more drones, so Reynor, he's getting up to full 4-base saturation, which means there's a higher chance that Reynor is going to tech up. Reynor, he's on 6 gases. There's the Bailey nest. Oh. So Oracles, they poke in, they get a couple of drones. We have 7 more drones on the way. Reynor is building up his Lingbane Hydra. He's not taking extra gases. I am aware that we will need extra gases if the plan is to take up into Hive. Speaking of, there it is. More gas on the way. The Oracle does scout this. No, without getting 5 more drones though. Jesus, 6 more drones going down. Nice damage out of Showtime. And Reynor, he is taking up. So Reynor, he invested into this army just to have some kind of harassing and marauding force. But behind this, infestation bit, hive tech. So we are going to be building up into a longer game. As Revelation confirms the infestation bits, and now Showtime should be feeling safe. He already has his 4 base set up. He has Storm, plenty of High Templar. Reynor is going for a Doom drop though. That does have a lot of potential. But he's not all in. He's taking up, unlike last game. Like last game, he was completely all in. This time, he is working towards that later stage of the game. Now we get the Fleet Beacon out of Showtime once he saw the Infestation Pit. And I'm liking Showtime's position here. There's a lot riding on the Doom drop. On that drop. But Showtime is looking very secure. Reynor, he throws down the Spire instantly, thinking about Broodlords. I believe Reynor has not seen the main. Yeah, he has not seen anything in the main, basically. So I'm liking the early setup here for Broods. What's a little bit concerning is that there's no setup for Lurkers. So there's going to be a window in time where Reynor is vulnerable. Reynor is cutting corners. Yep. Rushing into Broods. Skipping Lurkers. Delaying, getting to delayed Ultra production as well. Sorry, my mind was racing. I was like... Reynor, he's vulnerable. He's very vulnerable to an attack. If Showtime pushes, I don't know if Reynor can survive that. Remember, Reynor, he's stuck on Lingbane Hydra. There's no Lurker tech. There's no Ultras. There's no Broodlords. There's nothing. Here comes Showtime. Now, the best that Reynor can hope for is to surround. If he can surround the army, if he can come in from behind. Does get one High Templar. One Templar goes down. This will distract Showtime. Zealous get into the mineral line. And Showtime is not pushing. Again, this is his moment. Greater Spire is finishing. And it looks like maybe Showtime is more concerned about just building up his own Skytals. I do believe that he's missing the opportunity to be aggressive here. Reynor's trying to collapse up. Oh, but with the Templar, they overextend. Yeah, miscontrol at a Showtime. Losing 4 High Templar. Ay, ay, ay. Not like this. 4 Templar go down. Bailey's roll in. They depower the side defense. And this is just a really rough fight for Showtime. He's being pulled apart. This should not have happened. Everything was going so well for Showtime. He successfully got his 4th base up. He was working on the 5th base. He was successfully transitioning into Skytos. Everything was going so well until he took one bad fight. Again, he led the charge with his High Templar. He lost every Templar in the process. And that might just be game. That might just be game. Ay, 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 papi. At least they keep flooding in. Showtime lost the mineral line. Mineral line goes down. Reynor is remaxing with Ultras and Corruptors. Remaxing with now a higher tier army, more so than just Lingbane Hydra. Now with Ultras, he can tank some Storms. Doesn't have the best upgrades, but you know, he's getting there. Has kindness plating at least. That's Reynor, he's committing in. Kills the 5th. Base goes down. He wants a High Templar. Ultras are breaking through. They're breaking through the wall. Gets on top of 1 High Templar. And 1 Templar goes down and gets into the mineral line. Mothership falls as well. And again, these are just better trades for Reynor. He's just snowballing out of control. He breaks through the main army, takes down most of the Tempest. One Tempest survives. And Reynor just has to remax and do that again. Do it all again. And GG. GG gets called. There's no final fight. The writing was on the wall there. And Reynor, he will take the series 3-2, advancing on to the upper bracket finals. GG. GG. Congratulations here to Reynor. Showtime had a very impressive comeback in this series. Showtime was down 2-0, by the way. He was down 2-0 and Showtime clawed his way back into it, forcing the ace match. And honestly, Showtime was looking solid here in game 5. In game 5, Showtime, he was looking good. I will say that Showtime was maybe overly passive. If you remember, there was a window in time, there was a period in time when Reynor was morphing in the Ultra Cavern, when he was morphing in the Greater Spire, and when he was stuck on Lingbane Hydra. To be fair, Showtime didn't know this, right? He didn't know how vulnerable Reynor was, but there was a window in time where Showtime could have been active and aggressive. He was maxed. He was maxed out with his army. He could have pushed out, but he chose to be defensive. He chose to go for just Zealot run bys and get ready for Skytoss. And this was still an okay decision, but it meant that he wasn't able to punish Reynor. There was a window there, there was an opportunity, but it's fine. He decided to be more defensive. The problem, though, is that in that defense, he took a really, really rough fight. If you remember, we saw that Reynor, he rotated over towards the 5th base. Showtime responded, and Showtime led his army with High Templar. He had 5 High Templar in front of his army. Lingbane rolled in. Showtime was late to react, and he lost all the Templar instantly. He lost all the Templar. That was game. That was game then and there. That means that he lost the fight. Not just that, but he lost the 5th base as well, and he plummeted like 40, 50 supply. Like that was a crazy fight. He lost everything. That was game then and there. One bad fight, one wrong move, and that can cost you the game. And that's StarCraft in a nutshell. It's very high paced, very intense. And GG well played. There was definitely an opportunity there, and Showtime definitely proved himself. He proved himself to be of equivalent skill to Reynor, but this series, Reynor does take it. GG well played. Congratulations to Reynor. My condolences to Showtime. Showtime, he's going to be knocked down to the lower bracket. Let us head on over here to the bracket itself and figure out where we are and where we are headed. From the top here, we have Reynor. Reynor, he just beat Showtime. He is waiting in the upper bracket finals for the winner of Classic and Cure. Meanwhile, Showtime, he's knocked down to the lower bracket to face off against Hero in a PvP. So we have Showtime versus Hero in a PvP. We have Mana getting knocked down earlier against Showtime, and we have Mana versus Gumiho in the lower bracket round 1. So we do have more matches preparing and getting ready for us, but again, that'll be at a later day. We have one series left here tonight in today's broadcast. We have Classic versus Cure, the final upper bracket semifinals match. Remember, the winner of that series will face off against Reynor in tomorrow's broadcast. Oh boy. For now, though, we are going to be getting ready. Again, Classic versus Cure. We're going to be going on a short break. And when we come back, we'll have our final series. We'll have the final best of 5 of the broadcast. See you soon. See you soon. Bye. See you soon. welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to the final series of the broadcast. We just wrapped up with Showtime versus Mana, and with Reynor versus Showtime, we just wrapped up with our first two series. Now we have the final one. It's going to be a best of 5 between Classic and Cure, a PvT. Let's go. We are going to be jumping into game one. Game one is going to be on White Rabbit. Again, Classic, he is going to be coming in as a very, as I would say, probably the best late game PvT player in the world. True. Best late game PvT player in the world, but we'll see if he can get there. As spawning in the top right hand corner of White Rabbits, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing Virtus Pro. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the red Terran player, the red Terran player himself, representing Team Liquid. It is a Cure. Here we go. As we are stepping into our fresh series. Now, coming into this, I'm really curious to see how our players approach this matchup. So the meta in PvT has been in flux. If you've been watching StarCraft over the past 3 weeks, you would know that PvT has been going through some changes because of the patch and because of the map pool. First things first, leading into this patch, we were already starting to see a shift in meta towards longer and later games. All-ins were becoming less popular because Protoss players were going for safer builds. We saw a lot more safer builds, a lot more safer openers out of Protoss players, so all-ins were dying down. Coming into the latest patch, now we do see a bit of a power spike in the mid game for Terran. Big reason for this, there's a lot has changed when it comes to PvT. First thing is, of course, robot play was more viable just because of the strength of the Colossus, just because Ghosts were now made into light units, so Colossus, they do have a little bit more strength in the mid game, so you're going to see more Colossus based play. At the same time, we did see Terran players be more defensive as a result. Because all-ins were dying down, we saw them get into a faster third bases, a faster fourth bases, and building up into the mid game with a death blow of an army of Viking, Liberator, Ghost, Bio, of course, and excelling in the mid to late game as well as a result. So we did see a shift into more defensive play from Terran players. But in recent weeks, in recent days even, we have seen more of a shakeup, and that is partially because of the maps. The maps themselves don't really favor turtle play. That's the issue right now, is that they don't really favor that kind of style. A lot of maps, we speak about it all the time, but a lot of maps have open third bases, open fourth bases. A lot of maps have longer and further out expansions that are further away. This is an example of that. I would say that on White Rabbit, it is relatively easier to establish yourself on 4 bases, but you spread yourself very thin. You can potentially spread yourself thin depending on which bases you take. Also, this is one of the larger maps, longer rush distance by ground. I would say that this is maybe one of the better maps for a Terran player to try to be more defensive and get a faster third base on. But it does feel like TVP has kind of been shaking up quite a bit recently. Of course, that culminated into Hero versus Maru over the weekend, where Hero and Maru, they were insanely aggressive against each other. We saw a very dynamic, a very back and forth PvT. It was a lot of fun. It was some of the best PvT that we've seen all year. It was crazy. So I do recommend the RSL finals. Did cover it here on the channel. Did cover it live. Do recommend it. It was amazing, to be honest. It's a crazy night of StarCraft. But we'll see how Classic and Cure will approach this. For now, Twilight Council opener out of Classic. And we have Cure going for a more economic opener into his own 1/1/1. But again, PvT is one of those matchups that has just changed so much over the year. Like, we've had like 5 or 6 different meta shifts in PvT in 2025 specifically, like solely. It's crazy. Which is what makes it a lot of fun to watch, as opposed to PvZ, which has been very stagnant throughout the majority of the year. Recently has been changing up as well, but for most of 2025 and 2024, it's been very stale. Until recently. As a Classic, he's setting up, playing very safe. So we have a 3-gate blink opener and a robo on 2 bases. This is kind of like the go-to standard opener that we've now seen in recent times. Very safe play, and this is one of the reasons why we've seen all-ins die down in this matchup from the side of Terran. Meanwhile, Cure did invest into his initial Reaper Hellion. Investing this hard into Reaper Hellion tells us that Cure wants to dive. He wants to get into one of the bases, and ideally wants to distract with the Widowmine drop. So we have Widowmine drop towards the main, Reaper Hellion towards the natural. Cure does boost in. And Classic, he does react. Oh, pulls the boys in. Yeah, it does pull him in. And does pull away in time. Yeah, Medevac is going to save one Widowmine. It does pull away. Pulls away, hides in the corner of the map. At the same time, Reaper Hellion tries to break in, but again, Classic is in position. He's got his shield battery, he's got his stalkers, and Classic, he does defend. Losing the bare minimum. He will lose 2 probes against 1 Widowmine. So a decent defense here from Classic. What's important is that Cure does save one of the Widowmines, so he can always potentially go back in for another drop. It's up to Classic to keep these stalkers in position, to keep himself ready. Ooh, and Classic, he's going for a massive gateway explosion and a Templar Archives before third base. We spoke earlier about how safe the build was for Classic. This is even more safe. Like, this is very, very fast Storm, fast Templar Archives, fast gateways, late expansion. So Classic is going to have a delayed economy in favor of earlier Storm. As you can see, Storm is researching. Especially on White Rabbit, I would say that this is overly safe. This is the kind of build that you would see on a smaller map. A smaller map like Ultra Love, for example, or Pylon as well in the last map pool. I would expect to see this on Ruby Rock, on 10,000 feet, on Tourmaline. Seeing it here on White Rabbit does feel a little bit off, just because Cure is expanding. Again, there's a higher chance that Cure is going to be more economic this game on this map. So I would say that Cure is going to be in a better position initially. Of course, Classic can turn this defense into an offense and push across the map and try to hit his Storm timing. So we'll keep our eyes open for that. So now we're building up, and again we have a much more passive early game. Aside from the mine drop and aside from the Reaper Hellion harass, Prism is on the way. This will allow Classic to push, and it's on Cure to expand. That's Cure, he's breaking out. Here he does slowly break out. Here he does expand, getting his third base. And again, he's just turtling up. He's just getting a faster third base into Glorious Academy. As we mentioned, like, this is a style that has been rising in popularity as of late, as all-ins have been less effective. Just building up, getting the Ghosts, Vikings, Liberators. And this earlier Storm timing didn't achieve anything, right? This is why I was concerned for Classic when it came to his build. He rushed into this early Storm, into early charge, and he's not able to achieve anything with it. Now he's setting up for some... Oh, he's setting up for a Storm drop, okay. This is something, at least. Going for the drop into the main base. Storms are coming, and Cure, he does pull away. Ooh, yeah, nice Storms. Nice Storms, 6, 7, 8, 9 SCV kills. Oh my god. 10 SCVs going down. Do we get another Storm? Not quite. But the Vikings are in position. The Prism is going to attempt to recall. Main army's moving in. Prism goes down. Massive pickoff. And Cure takes down the Prism, takes down 2 High Templar. He's holding on to the front lines. We have a lot of High Templar here, but not really much support. And Cure will hold. Cure, he holds, he defends. Did lose some workers, but again, he killed 2 High Templar. So not a bad trade here for Cure. And Classic has to back off and build up into double Colossus production. So again, the game is slowing down and we are looking at max out, and you can see here, because of the overall build and because Classic's economy has been heavily delayed, you can see the supply difference now. You can see Cure take that supply lead. That's because he's had the better economy. As a result, he's had the better production, the better macro. Oh, base trade. As Q moves out, we have a Zealot army on the right hand side, we have the main army on the left. Here he does scout the 4th. And Classic, what's the plan? Oh, the Colossus are exposed. High Templar as well. Storm the main army. Massive EMP! Oh my god! Yeah, EMP connected, 0 storms left, and Classic he will lose every Templar. Ay, ay, ay. That was a crazy EMP. Colossus, they try to come in from behind, they're also exposed. Here he wants them. Ooh, heavily overstimmed. He stims everything. Please out a little units, he will get 1 Colossus, he gets 1, he gets both. And that's all the splash damage. That's everything. That's 2 Colossus, that's 5 High Templar. Zealots, they do catch reinforcements. So we're getting a little bit messy. We're getting messy. Boys are being pulled. Shaky defense here from Kira. At the same time, he's trying to wedge himself in between the bases. And Kira is still heavily overstimmed. Does he have enough? Again, it's getting close. There's a storm. A storm connects. Colossus, they get focused down. Gotta land the Vikings. We gotta land. Oh my god. As Kira barely wins the fight, he barely does take the fight. He takes the fight, he does push in. At the same time, back at home, Kira defends. Does manage to defend. Cashing the mineral line. Trading against only Stalkers. Better trades here for Cure. As he's stimming in. With this warping, Classic should hold on. He does have 2 more Colossus on the way. And with the help of Colossus, Classic he holds. Classic he holds on, he takes out both Vikings. No anti-air or no Vikings left. Yo, we got some boys being pulled. Classic getting desperate. Snipes the Ghost. Ghost goes down. Oh, crazy blink. Yeah, Blink's sword gets punished, losing 2 Stalkers. That should not have happened. Classic over the Eager. And now the dust is settling. Whew, the dust does settle. Again, Cure, he almost just ended the game. He almost ended the game, but he was heavily overstimmed across the map. That did mean that he eventually got cleaned up. He couldn't keep going, couldn't sustain himself. 4th CC is on the way. Cure does have the better economy, true. With the help of mules, he is in a better economic game state. Meanwhile, Classic is still recovering. Classic, he has to back off. I mean, both players do. The game slows down. I mean, like, the game almost ended, but it was crazy. Curie had a little momentum, but now the game is slowing down. Curie slowly getting his 4th base, and it's hard to really say who has a lead here. We have 4 Colossus for Classic. He has a lot of splash damage here. I think I want to say that Classic has the advantage in head-on fights currently, but if Cure can build up more Vikings and, more importantly, more Liberators, then Cure can stabilize and turtle up and max out and build up a superior composition. Well, Vikings are on the way. No fusion core yet, so we're missing a fusion core. We're still waiting for that moment. I'm sure we'll see it once Cure gets saturated. And you can see Cure, he is stable on 4 bases. He's got his sensor towers. He's up and running. Classic likewise trying to mass expand as well. The Classic did have a shaky start leading up to this. And again, Curious still working on his army. Starts up 3-3. Prism is ready to dive into the main. Again, still a little bit surprised that Cure has not started the fusion core yet. Getting +2 ship weapons. There it is. Fusion core is now on the way. I would say it's late, so a bit of a later fusion core here. And again, the core is for Liberator range, for Liberator production. So there's going to be a window in time where Cure does not have Liberators. And that's the window that Classic can abuse. And here we go. Ooh, Prism goes down. Prism goes down, no drop into the main base. Storms a little bit lackluster. Getting 2 ghosts though. 2 ghosts go down. Vikings are trying to find a better angle. Storms keep zoning away. Oh my god, the EMPs, they cover everything now. There's 0 storms, 0 storms, 0 shields. Classic, he was clumped up. And Cure will take the fight here. He will dominate this fight. He does them in, takes out every Colossus. Again, 0 storms, he can land the Vikings. But EMPs, they just continue to connect. Just blankets the army with the EMPs. And you can see Cure, he has a 70 supply, oh, he has a 50 supply lead. A massive advantage. Classic, he plummets in supply again. That was a brutal fight. And Cure's going for the kill, going for the throat. Lands on the Nexus. Classic is trying to force Cure to turn around. He's going for non-stop counterattacks. Trying to make the game messy. Cure, we gotta keep going. Gotta keep going. And again, Classic, he cannot fight head on. Like, he cannot take a head on fight, so he's just going for run by his counterattacks. Trying to buy some time. Colossus go down. And there's nothing left to back at home. There's nothing left. Technically, Classic does have some warp-ins available. There we go. It does warp in 10 Stalkers. More zooming across that to give him to the base trade. Now, can Classic win the base trade? Bearing in mind the Cure can lift, and Cure, he does have an army in the main. He has a standing army. Breaking the main base is not going to be easy. No use for Classic. Cure, he depowers everything. The main base is depowered. You could definitely argue this is taking a little bit too long, and Classic is going for the main. He's got a lot of storms available. Classic, he can still do this. Does get in. Oof. Yeah, the SimCity here is working against Cure. There are just so many choke points. Storm's going to excel. The Storm's going to be crazy. It blinks in, blinks in. The Ghost getting picked up. Cure losing everything here. Massive Storm connects. And does Cure have enough of an army? Is this good enough? Cure, we're going to go for the Great Migration. Buildings are burning down. And Classic has a lot of expansions. Okay, he does evacuate his probes. Does he have any production? The answer is yes. He's got 4 gates. So 4 gateways. Can warp in.
Base is under attack.
Curie does save a factory, which I believe cannot be touched. Not without a Skytoss unit. Meanwhile, yep, the CC floats bottom right. Classic, he's got a hit squad here, High Templar. Now Classic has to be so careful not to clump this up. 1 or 2 good EMPs could just shut this down. The Storms, nice feedbacks. EMPs, oh no, let me speak about it. The EMPs connects, 0 Storms left. Oh my god, he does take the Storm to the face. But Cure, he will once again dominate this fight. Ay, ay, ay. Well, that Classic has to be careful not to clump up, but then he clumped. He clumped up, but not like this. And now Classic cannot fight. He cannot engage. Not anymore. Not without splash damage. Not without Storm. Curie's waddling in, and again his bases are safe. And his CC is safe and sound. There is no Stargate. I don't think is there a cyber core? No, yeah, there's no cyber core, so we cannot build a Stargate. Gateways are going down. Again, the best chance is still for Classic to get a gateway, get a cyber core, get a Stargate, get like a Void Ray or a Phoenix, and try to kill the buildings. Because there's barely any. There's one CC bottom left, one CC bottom right, there's one factory, and there is one, I guess, 2 ground buildings here. But if Classic had the foresight to just get a little bit of Sky Tools up and running, like that would be a win condition for Classic. That would have been to kill the buildings. Cure not dead yet. Well, Cure, he's winning this game. Like Cure, he's again, like I don't see how Classic can win. Or I should say, Classic shouldn't be able to kill any of these buildings that are floating. And Classic, he cannot fight head on. Cure finds the Stalkers, lands EMPs. And all these buildings in the top left-hand corner are going to go down. That's coming in from behind. Coming with those charge slots. Where are the ghosts? Okay, Cure, he bleeds out a good chunk of units. Does get distracted. Bearing in mind the Classic can warp in. The Classic can warp in units. Cure, he has to be careful. Gotta be attentive with the army. Nice EMP. Okay, this time Cure does punish. Ooh, lose the ghost. One ghost goes down. Curie's only fighting with half his army. Takes down the base. Recall will finish. It does get the recall, but the rest of the army responds. And Classic down to 5 Stalkers. Down to 4. 4 Stalkers left, handful of Zealots. As we mentioned before, Classic can never fight the army in a head-on engagements, and the production has been found. Here he finds all the production. Classic still has 1 base left. And the Classic, he's helping some copium back. No. The copium is real. And again, there was a way for Classic to potentially win this game if he just had a Stargate. But wasn't able to set that up. Oh no, the probes! They run into the army. And probes getting called out. And the final base has been found. Classic, he cannot afford another Nexus. He's broke. So he's about to be revealed, and then it's just down to Cure finding all the buildings. Just finding them, killing them. No shot we're gonna wait for that to happen. No, no, there we go. GG gets called, and Cure, he will take game number 1. GG. Cure takes the lead in the series, and again, Classic just had a very, very rough start to the game. Tosses that. I mean, Classic, he was playing from behind the entire game, unfortunately. Winding it back, if you remember, we tried to put emphasis on the opener. Classic, he went for a very, very 2-base heavy opener. Winding it back, he went for his initial 3-gate blink into Robo. Then he stayed on 2 bases, and he went into up to 5 gateways in towards Storm as well, into a delayed 3rd base when Cure was just chilling. Cure was just expanding. Cure took an economic lead. He took a supply lead as well. Classic was overly defensive here initially on White Rabbit. Classic put himself behind, and that's why Cure had a massive lead early on. He did have like a 30 supply lead. With that, Cure, he almost ended the game with his first push. Classic did survive it with his run bys and counterattacks, and then the game got very chaotic. But Cure, he did have the superior main army, got up to 4 bases, and Classic had some potential at times, but time and time again, what did we see? Massive EMPs. We saw some massive EMPs catching out 5, 6, 7 High Templar at a time. It was brutal. Classic was so prone to clumping his army and so vulnerable to EMPs as a result. GG well played. With that, we're loading into game number 2, and we're loading into Title Citadel. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Title Citadel, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss. Oh, representing Team Virtus Pro down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back. It is a classic. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the red Terran player. We have the South Korean Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Here we go, and again, Cure, he just had a very comfortable game, a very comfortable start, very comfortable early game, mid game, and even later game as well. We'll see how Classic will adjust. Welcome to Title Citadel. This is one of the maps where it is difficult to expand. It is difficult to get your 3rd base, your 4th base, your 5th base. The bases are more spread out, you are more open, you're more vulnerable. This is a map where I would say that Classic has the opportunity to be more aggressive. Same with Cure. Now, if Classic were to go for the same build, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Same build as last game, where he stays on 2 bases even longer. I think there's a higher chance that that Cure goes for an all-in. There's a higher chance that the Terran is hyper aggressive, so it makes more sense to be defensive here from Classic. It made less sense to be defensive on White Rabbit. But here we go. For now, double gas opener out of Cure, going for a faster factory, going for faster tech. Into a delayed CC. Classic is poking in. As from here, we are going to be setting up. Cure, he should not go for a 1 base all in. Like that's a little bit out of Cure's wheelhouse. We see that from players like Oliveira back in the day, or Ryung, or sometimes even Clem. But Cure is usually not that varied and not that diverse. Oh, okay. So Cure, he does go for the SCV scouts, and he does open up a reactor first. Oh, sorry, he goes Reaver reactor. My apologies. Checking for proxies. Oh, hello. Cure, he's going for his own proxy location here. The probe scout of Classic will not find the SCV, and we're set up for the starport. Let's go. So we do have a Hellion drop setting up here for Cure. We did assume it was going to be something more aggressive here, but he's going for the early commitment, early drop. Now, technically, this can be one of 2 things, but now we see why we had the early reactor. So early reactor into early add-on swap into reactor Hellion into Hellion drop into the main base. Should be proxy medevac. Now, technically, this could be proxy liberator, and then you have Hellions that can threaten the natural and then liberator into the main. So there are options here, but the most common build is medevac drop. Classic does poke in. Gets a couple of hits in, but the adapter should go down. That barely saves the Hellions. Now has to repair. Now, how many Hellions does it take to one-shot a probe? 3. 3 Hellions will one-shot. So 4 Hellions is going to be more than enough. As Cure moves out. Cure does move out. Meanwhile, Classic does open up 3-gate blink. So very safe play. Goes 3-gate blink Stalker. Has SimCity here at the natural. Has an army to work with. But you can see he's hyper fixated on walling off his natural base. What about the main? And what about the main base? Hellions, they do drop in. They head for the mineral line. Nice force fields, but alas, no, they still get in. And I believe these probes are trapped here. They do try to pull away. They're lining up. Oh my god, 5 probes go down. Did I say 5? Getting it to 6, 7. 7 probe kills, picks off the sentry. The probes, no! Oh my god, they line up again. 12, 13, 18 probes go down. That is game-ending damage. Oh my god. That should not have happened. 21 probe kills. The middle line gets roasted, and Cure has a massive advantage here, a massive lead early on. This is meant to get a handful of probes at most, but no, it gets 21. That was over a mineral line. And again, Classic, he was just hyperfixated on walling off his natural. He was caught out of position. The other issue, of course, is that Classic, GG gets caught. As he said, that's game-ending damage. The other issue was, if you remember, Classic, he scouted this area. He scouted this location earlier, so he believed that it would not be a drop. He believed he was safe, but he was anything but. GG. GG, well played. Game-ending damage, and Cure, he's up 2-0. He's up 2-0, and now we're getting ready for game number 3. Potentially the final game of the series. I'm hoping that we have more of a back and forth here. I'm hoping that Classic, Classic, he can hold his own, but these games have not been going his way, specifically the early game. The early game has been really rough for Classic. When it comes to his build of choice in game 1, or when it comes to the execution of his defense here in game number 2, we're going to tighten up in the early game. Let's go. We're loading into Winter Madness. We go spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Winter Madness. We have the blue Protoss player. We have the South Green Protoss representing Virtus Pro. Down heavily in the series. The pressure is on. He has to fight back here and now to make a series out of this and to force a game 4 and maybe even an ace match. The pressure is on. It is a Classic. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Terran player, the red Terran player himself, South Green Terran. For Team Liquid, it is Cure. He is up at 2-0 and is 1 game away from claiming the series. And so far, the builds have been working in his favor. Welcome to Winter Madness. This is the most defensive map in the map pool. So this is the map where we can cut corners. The problem is that Classic, because he's behind in the series, he might not feel safe enough to cut corners. He might just play safe and put himself behind just because he's terrified of what's going on. And you can see him here, he's even scouting. He's checking for proxies. He's a little bit paranoid. I mean, it makes sense. Because of the game state, there is a higher chance that Cure is going to take a risk. He's going to take a risk, take a chance because he has the freedom to do so because of the overall scoreline. So the current scoreline does impact and does influence decision making here. And we'll see how players adjust. Now, coming into Winter Madness, because it's so defensive, I would actually be I would want to see Cure be more greedy, cut corners, be greedy, and embrace the mid game. For now, double gas, faster factory, delayed CC, a more safer tech-heavy start out of Cure. Classic going for a standard opener, but again, we'll see how standard we are. When it comes to the map itself, we did introduce it as the most defensive map. Talking about it, has a very long rush distance by ground. It's a very large map. You can see here has a ramp and a relatively narrow entrance into the natural and into the third base. Likewise, has a narrow entrance here into the third base and a narrow entrance here into the fourth base as well. I say narrow, I mean compare these entrances, compare it to Riri Rock, compare it to Tourmaline, even compare it to the Old Republic as well, where they have massive entrances into their third and fourth bases. Here, much smaller, much more narrow, closer together as well, easier to rotate between. Oh, speaking of taking a risk, Stargate opener out of Classic. Okay, is going for the Stargate. With this, should be opening up Oracle for some early game harassment, or can even bank up Phoenixes back at home. So he's got options. But a bold move. Now, Stargate play is more viable on larger maps, so I do like the idea of going Stargate specifically on Winter Madness, especially if Cure is going to be more passive, and he's going to be banking Phoenixes. Okay, so no Oracle harass. The goal here is to back up Phoenixes and hope that because your opponent failed to scout you, that your opponent goes for Banshee harass, goes for Raven harass, Widowmine drop play in general. We can see a drop is coming, by the way. And because you're banking up Phoenixes, when the drop is revealed, bam, you pounce on the drop, you reveal your Phoenixes, and you shut it down. So ideally, Classic wants to lure Cure into a drop. And Cure's going for it. Cure, he's boosting across the map. So far, 2, there we go, third Phoenix is on the way. And then Classic, intentionally, he is keeping them home and banking them up. By doing so, we can lift up the Cyclone, he can chase the medevac. Cure, he has to commit. And now he knows. Lock-on is broken. You can see Curie's trying to escape, trying to get out of here, but he shouldn't be able to. Can he get a Phoenix? Oh, not quite. Yeah, it doesn't get a Phoenix. Medevac is very low. And the medevac goes down. And medevac goes down. There's the lift. And Classic cleans everything up. And again, this is the power of hiding your Stargates. You bait your opponent in, and you shut him down. So for the first time this series, I would say better early game for Classic. Classic, he has a very nice early game here. Shuts down all the harassment. He lost 1 probe and 1 Phoenix. But overall, a very comfortable start. The one downside I would say is that the third base is a little bit later. He goes for the third base after the Gateways and after the Twilight Council. So a bit of a delayed third base for Classic, where there was a chance he could have been greedier. Meanwhile, Curie's stuck at home. Thanks to the Phoenixes, Curie's stuck at home. Has to be more defensive. We have a follow-up that I'm not really used to seeing here. Now, usually when you open up Phoenixes, you continue Phoenix production and you support the army with either Charge or Colossus, one or the other. It is very rare to switch into Stalker like this because Stalkers have the same role as Phoenixes. Phoenixes, they shut down drops, they hunt down medevacs, they contain the Terran player. Stalkers do the same thing. Stalkers, of course, have a more active, aggressive potential to dive into an army and to pounce on units and pounce on supply. But usually it's quite rare to see both, and the reason why we're seeing both is because we have stopped Phoenix production. Only 2 Phoenixes, we've not gone back in. Here comes the Mass Stalker, here comes the army. Phoenixes do provide high ground vision, and I'm sure Classic wants to blink into the main. Still waiting for blink. Oh, he spots them. Stim is spotted. Stim is low. But Classic backs up. Yeah, Classic does not take his chances here. Does not take the chance, doesn't take the risk. Pulls away. Classic, he's just building up back at home, getting his third base. Cure, he's getting his own third CC as well, and we should be embracing a longer game set here. Cure should be slowly getting a third base, getting a fourth base, turtling up. Meanwhile, we do have Classic with a decent economy himself, who's going for an earlier push. Prism is on the way. Classic can soon move out. Now, last time we saw this kind of move out, we did see Classic went for a Storm Drop. I believe that was in game 1. Classic went for a Storm Drop. Here, this time instead, the Prism is going to be with the main army. We're going for a main push. And who spots who?
This better be good.
Oh, Phoenixes, they spot the army. High Templar exposed. Links in, tank to siege. Decent storm in the tank. Storm in the tank, storm in the Vikings. Cure does hold on. And Cure rotates. As he rotates, we have Classic getting ready for his own counterattack. Drop into the main. And Cure, he does not have much to defend back at home. Cure, he is vulnerable. That's a lot of high tempo. That's a lot of storm. Ideally, Cure wants to sneak up on the fourth base. We'll see if he can. Prism gets in. Prism gets in. Cure, it looks like Classic's out of position. Yeah, Classic completely out of position. The fourth base is going to go down. Classic has to respond. There's a cancel. Storm goes off. Widowmine will force some friendly fire. Widowmine gets dragged into the army. Storms are coming in. Cure, he is cornered. And his army is so low here. Can he get out? Can he escape? Oof. Yeah, he gets away with one medevac. Gets away with a medevac. He survives with a lot of very low HP army. But he gets away. And overall, this was a better trade for Cure. If Cure lost the entire army, different story, I would favor Classic. But Cure escapes with a good chunk, a good portion of his units. Does make it back home. Classic is still rallying. Still trying to rally in. Trying to. Nice feedbacks. Very nice feedbacks. Those are the only ghosts. We have 2 more ghosts on the way. EMPs they need to connect. And nice splits, nice spread. Oof. Storms are zoning back, but Cure will hold. And Cure does hold on at the same time. Prism into the main base, getting a handful of SCVs. Okay, 2, 3 SCV kills, but Classic straight Cure, he does defend. And Cure currently, I'll still say, is in a better position here. Fourth base is late for Classic, and Classic doesn't deal much economic damage. Fourth base is almost done for Cure. It's been an intense back and forth. Cure's move of sneaking past the army and sniping the fourth base, though, is paying off. Has allowed Cure to be in a better economic position. That's why he has a larger army. And now here comes the fourth base. Again, it's on par with the fourth of Classic. Second starport, Mass Viking. As Classic is mass expanding, bottom left and top right. So this tells us, like, Classic, he knows, like, the game is going to go to the late game. Like, we're building up into the late game here. The dynamic that we're going to be seeing here, and the reason why Classic is mass expanding, it's going to be on Classic to have the better economy, to have map control, to take all these bases, to have a bank, and to take some inefficient fights. To go for a mass gateway reinforcements, to push in, to trade, and to just keep trading. Classic gets spotted. There's the scan. I would say that in terms of having the greater economy, Classic is not there yet. He's double expanding, that is true, but he has to saturate. Does have to saturate. Meanwhile, Cure, currently, he's going to be the first to max. Cure, as a Terran player, their third base should be delayed, their fourth base should be delayed, but it has not been this game. Partially because of the map. We did mention that this is the easiest map in the map pool to turtle up on 4 bases. Or one of the easier maps. Comes the turrets, sensor towers. Oh, yes, Classic is going in. Nice storm. Yeah, storms are connecting. Cure, he's out of position. Storms are away. Cure coming from behind. But again, he was not ready for this. Colossus are exposed. He's not in Colossus. He's going to get 1. Should get up to 3. Oof. Yeah, but the storms do punish. Despite that, though, Colossus will go down. I say that he doesn't chase. Yeah, Cure does not give chase. Classic barely gets away. The Colossus barely standing. Not a bad fight here from Classic. Essentially, Cure, he didn't spot the army. Most of his supply was down here towards his 4th base. So Cure, he was spread thin. And he was late to react. That was a decent fight for Classic. So he's warping in more zealots. Now, I believe the goal for Cure should just be to turtle and defend until he perfects his army. What do I mean by that? 3-3 is a part of that, true. Fusion Core, Liberator range, into Liberator production as well. So Cure's army is still lacking. Oh no, the ghosts! The ghosts are exposed. Has to get the hell out of here. Has to pull away. 1 ghost goes down. He's gonna lose 1, 2, 3 ghosts gonna fall. 4 ghosts. Too many losses. Too many losses here for Cure. He stands in the storms. Oh my god, the storm gets almost max damage. Yeah, very shaky fight. Cure, he will still take it, but that was maybe the best fight that Classic could have hoped for. He almost reset the ghost counts. He landed a crazy storm. Yeah, messy fight for Cure. Does find a Colossus. Does help. Spots another. MPs, they do raise the gateway units. Storm gonna turn away. Vikings, they find a better angle. They're going for the Colossus, and they will get it. Colossus goes down. No more storms. Yeah, no storms left, and Cure, he's still overwhelming. Again, Cure, he still has the superior army. He still has been taking better trades overall. I mean, to take a bad fight earlier, I will say, but here, Classic, he just bled out High Templar, he bled out Colossus. Gotta calm down and build up, max out. And there it is, Liberator range. It's on the way. Here, he's almost there. See, TBD forever in the chat. Is this the last series today? Yes, yes. This is the last series today. Final series of this broadcast. Technically, I'm going to be live later on tonight with another cast, but for this broadcast, last series. El último, el último. Armies are maxing out. First Liberator is on the way. Now, because Cure is maxed, he's not going to have much production back at home. Cure is pushing down mid. Prism going for the backstab. SCP. Prism. Ooh, Prism goes down. No backstab. Oh, but we're running through the storms. Oh my god, we're just taking the storms to the face. The storms, papi. Zealots, they do go for the counterattack. They do hit the 3rd. And Cure turns everything back around. Very nice run by Cure. He races back home. This is buying a lot of time for Classic. Classic is moving in. He shouldn't break the 4th base, or the 5th even. Classic shouldn't be able to break the expansion. But he does buy time. Getting into a Dark Shrine, getting into Shadow Stride. Casito, almost there. I still do favor Cure's army in a head-on engagement, but he only has 1 Liberator, so he's not fully there yet. Let's get the 1. Still comes down to the EVs. Nice EMP on the Gateway army. Oh. Nice 1 Templar. There's 7 Templar left. Meanwhile, Classic taking every base on the map. There's 1 base left that hasn't been taken, 1 expansion. As I mentioned before, this is necessary for Classic. Classic does have the worst army in a head-on fight, so he's going to be trading and he has to replenish that. Blinks forward. Uh-oh. Bold move out of Classic. Very nice. Oh, God, he clumps up the storms. Once again, the storm takes almost maximum damage. Storms were crazy. Cure, calm down. And the SimCity working against Cure here. So be careful. Spreading out into a nice arc. EMPs don't quite pop off. Classic has a decent spread. And Storm zones away. But Classic has to avoid this around. Yeah, he does give chase. Gives chase. Nice storms here in the retreat. Very nice storms. Oh my god. Once again, Cure, he just runs through the storms. We need one more. Nice opposition micro. Cure pulls back. It's gonna be a very clutch fight. Very close. Takes down the Colossus, takes down the High Templar just barely. But here come reinforcements. Cure, he has to retreat. Again, a messy fight. The storms are crazy. Classic, he's holding on. Trading cells for ghosts. He's catching a ghost back. But here it is, what we've been waiting for. Liberators. We're making 3 Liberators at a time. Cure finally getting to his Liberators. Looking to take another expansion. Looking to take down one of the next time. And what is Classic's Remax? Let's see. So 8 Templar, building up to 4 Colossus again. He's very Stalker heavy. Rotates in. Liberation zones have been revealed. Now it's going to be more difficult for Classic to engage. Pivots back around. And you can see this time the armor's getting punished. Taking a couple of hits. Curie peels off some units. He does hit the top right base. Who catches that who? This Classic does take down one of the expansions. He gets in. Classic gets in. Cure out of position. SCVs are going down. At the same time though, Cure does take down the base. So they're trading 1 for 1. Trading expansions. He tries to keep pushing. There's still 6 High Templar with the main army. It's the first storm. Nice EMP. Very nice. There's 1 storm left. Uh-oh. Yeah, no many storms remaining. Curie's collapsing in. Takes down the Colossus. What a mess! No! The Colossus survives. On 1 HP. On 6 HP. So he can try to keep pushing, but again, he's just being out-traded. Does defend against the drop. And Classic just now threw down a Stargate. Is he thinking about Sky Toss? If that was the case, we should have seen that already. Curie is now aware of the economic situation. He sees more bases. Classic has a massive mineral bank. So the high-yield gas geyser as well. So on the one hand, Cure has been out trading at times. He has been out trading. On the other hand, though, Classic, because of his economy, he can afford this. Can't afford these trades. Classic's already remaxed, and he's done it. Like he is breaking the planetary. Nice EMP. But again, Cure can no longer remax. He needs more bases. He needs top right. He needs those CCs. At the same time, we do see the Classic. I believe this time he only made 2 Colossi. It's very gateway heavy. Oof. Prism does not get in. Only 3 High Templar. Yet Classic, he doesn't really have the best army here. He's got 1 Colossus and only 3 Templar. Doesn't have a lot of splash damage. There it is. Fleet Beacon, 2 more Stargates. Classic, he's thinking about Skytos. Josh, I turn the medevac. Personally, I feel like Skytos should have been worked on earlier if that was the plan. But okay. Classic is getting there. Clicks in, kills the CZ. Cure is being pulled apart. Having a hard time defending. That's the advantage of having a very gateway heavy composition. It's very mobile. Very mobile. And Cure, he never denied bottom left. Jesus, that's a lot of freedom. And again, once the Terran player gets into mass lib like this, the Protoss player is forced to take it to the skies. So that's why we're getting into Skytos. It is a late transition, but it's there. It's getting there. As he tries to rotate in, this time Cure is in position. And Cure, he holds the line. Tempest are revealed. Now it's time for more Vikings. It's going to be more about the Sky Terran. So nice scout here from Cure. He's pushing in. I did mention this previously that Classic has the best late game PvT out there, and he's getting to that late game composition, referring to Skytos specifically. Let's get into a Skytos. Nice pickups. He gets 1, 2 Liberators. The risk go down. Oh my god, nice storm. Cure now, he just stands in the storms. Por favor. It was distracted. He will take down bottom left at least. Cure gets an expansion. Liberator does overextend. Bit of miscontrol at a Cure. Again, you can't afford these inefficient trades, not in this kind of game state when your economy is so limited. There's the recall. Close to the south side. This should give a Cure the opportunity to actually push into one of these bases and bring it down. Cure's racing over. He's rushing over, he's trying to respond. Templar gets caught out. And can Cure catch this army? He's going for it. He's going for the dive. Storms on the Vikings. Does tank the storms. Nora's diving in as well. An awkward engagement here for Cure. Very awkward. He's going to be punished. Classic, I think he's done it. Yeah, he's finally done it. He takes the fight. Shuts down the army. Behind this Cure, he's broke. He's broke. He has no money. Classic, he's done it. GG gets called. And Classic, he does fight back. He does put a point on the board. Whew, GG. GG, well played. A very intense back and forth here. It took Cure a long time to build up into Liberators. On top of that, Cure had some very rough fights in the late game. We saw so many storms connecting. Not just that, we saw so many times Classic catching Cure out of position. Classic was able to rotate back and forth towards the fringe bases, and Cure had a very hard time keeping up with those rotations. Would often lose bases, lose mineral lines, lose an army, and these were losses that he just could not afford. In that kind of game state, you have to be hyper efficient as the Terran player because your economy is limited. And alas, in the end, he was just bleeding out too much. GG. GG, all played, never built up a bank. And we have a series, we have a back and forth. Let's go. Let us go. We are getting into game number 4. That was the best storm you could hope for. There were like 4 of those this game, like that last game. That last game, there were so many times where a storm would land and Cure, it looked like he was focusing elsewhere, like focusing on his job, focusing on another portion of the fight or of the map. And there were so many value storms there for Classic. And here we go. We're getting into our next game, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Tourmaline, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing Protoss Pro beginning his comeback. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Terran player. We have the red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Go. Whew, oh boy. And again, Classic, he was able to take it in the end and take it in the late game against Cure. Not an easy feat, not at all. It was not easy, and Cure definitely had his own strong moments in that last game, but overall fights were in favor of Classic. Army movement was in favor of Classic as well, but now we're loading into a much smaller map. Welcome to Tourmaline. Tourmaline is one of the smaller maps of the map pool. Hyper aggression is favored here. We spoke about this previously. We have an open entrance into the natural, we have an open entrance into the third base, we have a direct path across the map as well. And we'll see how aggressive our players intend on being here. We do expect to see more earlier timing attacks out of both players. We'll see who bites first. Who's gonna take it? So from here we're building up. We're building up standard openers. Again, double gas out of Cure, going for a faster factory, going for a delayed CC. Just a more tech heavy start. Safer start here by Cure. We have seen players go for these early 2-on-1 builds, going for without stim 2-on-1 with tank production, with Viking production, committing across the map. We've seen that rise of popularity from players like Clem. Clem has been very fond of that. Bjorn's been mixing it in. I want to say Maru mixed it in as well. So we could see a build of that nature excel here on Tourmaline. For now though, show us what you got. Getting safety cyclones. Classic going for his tech of choice, going for his own Twilight Council opener. Opening up Twilight Council into Blink. Into a standard start. Now, because this map is so aggressive, we do expect to see Classic go 3-gate Blink into a Robo. I wouldn't be opposed to Classic even staying on 2 bases and going into Storm on Tourmaline. I feel like I could understand the rationale behind that. See. This blink has begun. Starts up blink. Here come the 2 gates, so it's going to be 3-gate blink for the time being. There's the Robo. So far, a very safe build out of the Protoss, out of Classic. And we're waiting for the tank. Waiting for the tank, going for the early push. We have the Cyclone here to support as well, so this is very dedicated here from Cure, going for the tank drop. Let's go, and reinforcing with Vikings. So hyper aggressive, hyper committed. Does he pull any voids with this? The answer is no. But he's rallying everything he can, and the goal here should be to get on top of the Robo. That Robo was exposed at the natural. If he can get on top of the Robo, he can potentially end the game. He's going for it. It does move in. Lock on the Stalker. Remember, there's no blink, and one Stalker, ooh, does barely survive. Boys are being pulled. Can he get on top of the tank? He can. The tank should be focused down. One more volley. Ooh, does fall. Brings out the tank. And without that tank, there's not really that much left over. The boys are being pulled. The Marines will go to town on those probes. That's going to be a lot of economic damage. Viking should land. Viking should land. Yeah, it does barely land in time. We're just rallying in, and we have done it. There's 2 Stalkers left. GG gets called. Cure with the early push, the early timing with the all-in. He rallies on in. The tank did fall, but Cure will take the series 3-1, advancing on to the upper bracket finals. GG. Whew, GG, well played, Cure. He was able to catch Classic with his pants down. Ideally, when you're up against that kind of build as the Protoss player, you do want to be active across the map to spot the push early, to spot the move out early on. Classic didn't have too bad of a reaction. He had a shield battery set up, thankfully. He was able to focus on the tank, but he lost so much in the process. It took like 3 or 4 volleys to kill the tank. So the tank got a lot of shots off, which softened up the Stalkers, which allowed the main army, the Marine army, to break through, to break on through. And again, we were just rallying everything. Vikings were being rallied across the map, and Marines as well, Cyclones, whatever we could muster. GG, well played. Whew, after an intense late game on Winter Madness, we had a very aggressive game here on Tourmaline, which is what we did expect. As we mentioned before, like, Tourmaline does favor aggression, does favor these all-ins, and Cure embraced it entirely. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Cure as he does advance on. My condolences to Classic as he is knocked down to the lower bracket. Whew, let's catch up. Let's catch up on the bracket. Let's catch up on the matches ahead of us here. We just wrapped up with day 2 of KungFu Cup. As you can see here, Cure took down Classic 3-1. Reynor took down Showtime 3-2. Really close series, really close matches. And we have Cure versus Reynor in the upper brackets. Meanwhile, we had Showtime, he got knocked down to the lower bracket. It's going to be Showtime versus Hero in the lower bracket. Meanwhile, we have Mana getting knocked down as well. We have Mana versus Gumiho in the lower bracket as well. Oh boy. So again, it's going to be 5 days. 5 days of StarCraft, 5 days of KungFu Cup. It's going to be an intense period here, an intense week of StarCraft. When it comes to our next broadcast, that is going to be later on tonight. Oh boy, it's going to be in around 7 hours. Jesus. Let me just double check. 6.5. In 6.5 hours time, we're going to be live with day number 3 of KungFu Cup. So I'm going to get a little bit of sleep. I'm going to nap for a little bit. Probably get some breakfast, get some food, get some water, and rest up a little bit in preparation for the next cast in 6 hours time. Again, with day 3, we should be covering the lower bracket. So Showtime versus Hero, Gumiho versus Mana, and the winner of that series against Classic. I believe those lower bracket matches will be taking place in 6 hours time. We're going to be all over that. Meanwhile, the remainder of the bracket will be played out throughout the course of the week. We do have Sparkling Tuna Cup. This is the November finals for KungFu Cup, by the way. We have the November finals for Sparkling Tuna Cup tomorrow. That's going to be tomorrow in just over 24 hours. So again, all the November events are coming together here, coming to a close as we get into December, the final month of 2025. Where did the year go, Pappy? Crazy. So again, when it comes to our weekly schedule here, bam, you can see it before you. As you can see, there we go. We just wrapped up with our morning cast of KungFu Cup. You can see it's Saturday morning, and you can see that Saturday evening we have our next cast, and then we have Sparkling Tuna Cup on Sunday, with our morning being free at least on Sunday. So we have one morning free. Got a lot of work to do that morning. Do some laundry, go look after the bunnies. Oh, that'll work. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Just catching up in the chat. Oh, it's catching up. So how to beat Terranus Protoss? I mean, we kind of went over, hopefully we did a decent job at explaining the game states throughout the course of the series. We spoke about, when it comes to Classic versus Cure, we spoke about game 1, how Classic fell behind early on. Classic was overly defensive and overly safe on White Rabbit, so he did fall behind early, and Cure had a very comfortable game over on White Rabbit as well. We spoke about game 2, how game 2 we saw a more aggressive style instead. Did see some more aggression here with Cure taking some better engagements out in the map, able to take better fights and able to break Classic earlier on. Winter Madness was of course Classic's game, where I mean we saw the storms were crazy, they were brutal, and unfortunately here on Tourmaline, Classic just didn't see the move out, right? He didn't see the move out, he didn't see the aggression of Cure, so Classic was caught with his pants down. So there's definitely like room for improvements and areas where moments did favor Cure more so than Classic, or there was lacking of scouting, lack of information, lacking of decision making as well. Sorry, I was a little bit lost in thought for Taito Citadel. If you remember, Taito Citadel was actually a very short game, it was a Hellion drop. That's it. Where Classic, he failed to scout the starports, and then the Hellion drop just ended the game. It was an instant GG from there. Yeah, true. That was Taito Citadel. Was Taito. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be wrapping up here for the morning, and we'll be back in 6 hours time. Otherwise, a big shout out to K-Store TV in the chat. God, thank you so much for subscribing for 6 months, for half a year of support. Thank you so much for the support. We do appreciate it. And again, we'll be live in 6 hours for some more Kung Fu Cup, or we'll be live tomorrow with some November Tuna Cup finals. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the broadcast, do consider following us. You can check us here on all the socials. !socials in the chat. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. You can follow us on all things CranKy Ducklings. We upload on YouTube on a daily basis. If there's something that you see here that you want to watch, but maybe it's a bad time slot for you, check out the VODs on YouTube. All the VODs are there. I do highly recommend checking out the podcast, for example. The podcast is our weekly talk show where we talk all things StarCraft, where we catch up on the news of the week. And this week we had a lot going on, so I do recommend it. For example, we had Koka is a papi now. Koka's a papi. Did post, does have a lovely daughter now, so has begun his family. We have Fantasy got married a couple of days ago. We went over Cyril's EWC analysis of his game against Classic. There was an interview with So that was conducted, which was a Brood War related interview from Zombie Grub. We had the esports award awarded to Tastosis. We had all the results from the week. A lot of things were discussed, of course, so if you want to catch up on all the news of StarCraft, podcast is the place to be. It's the only talk show, and we've been running it for years at this point, but it's the only talk show out there. Back in the day, there used to be like the High Yield podcast, there was the Pylon show, there was Remax, there was the Late Game, there used to be a lot of talk shows, but I think nowadays, I think we're the only one. I think so, Smurge, papi, Smurge. So if you want to be caught up to date, then we got you, papi, we got you. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys later on tonight or tomorrow for some more StarCraft. Otherwise, you can support us via Patreon, !Patreon in the chat. Our Patreon does fund our tournaments. It funds our weekly tournaments and our monthly tournaments as well. So if you want to help us grow our tournaments and help us grow the CranKy Ducklings, then you can do so via Patreon. We're very transparent with the breakdown of the prize pool and the prize money and where everything goes. And again, we're working towards a boosted prize pool for Tuna Cup, and eventually we're working towards monthly finals for Tuna Cup as well. That's the hope, that's the plan, that is the dream. Otherwise, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Ciao, papi, ciao. See you next time. Until then, hasta luego. Until then, see you next time.